り。
The Amazing Digital Circus just told us exactly where its story is going, all from one single line.
I need a living host in order to escape the Hall of the Damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
This is the key to the entire future of this series, and I'm going to break it all down for you today.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that has 2 shots. Better make them count. It's that time again, friends. If you don't know the Amazing Digital Circus, how? This was one of the biggest viral hits of last year, created by animator Gooseworks and the talented folks over at Glitch Productions, and it is not slowing down. Since the last episode, they've gotten a distribution deal with Netflix, meaning that episodes are simultaneously dropping on both YouTube and Netflix, which is just incredible. Seriously, congratulations on the success, guys. It's absolutely deserved. And speaking of episodes, a brand new one just hit the web, so you just know we had to cover it. And it's a spooky, scary episode, just in time for Halloween. Don't you just love coincidences? Or good planning? One of the two. Obviously, the Amazing Digital Circus is a really fun series to theorize about. And if you want in, you can go check out the awesome community over at the Digital Circus subreddit. As for us, we've covered a lot of ideas here, some of which I actually think are the direction the series is headed, and other I think are big wild swings. So, to make sure we're on the same page, let's talk about where we think the series is actually going. Our running theory is that the Amazing Digital Circus is an advanced 90s VR video game which copies the minds of any humans that put on the headset. These copies then become the characters in the circus. However, the AI inside of the game is so advanced that one of the human characters, Jax, is secretly an NPC tormenting the cast as they go on adventures. And just before we get into the meat of our theory here today, episode 3 gives us so much more to add on to this. For example, Jax once again breaks the fourth wall and points at the viewer, but this time he straight up calls us out.
What do you, the viewers, think it is?
Stop doing that.
The only other characters we've seen do this are NPCs, and in fact, Bubble also breaks the fourth wall in this episode. There's a moment where she speaks backwards, and if you reverse the audio, it says,
I can't wait for all the children in the audience to get horrible nightmares from the monster.
another NPC breaking the fourth wall while the human characters can't. Also worth noting that when talking about what happens to their bodies when they hold their breath, Jax is the only one who refuses to do so. Perhaps he doesn't want to because nothing happens when he holds his breath, because he's not human. But along with all of that new info about Jax, episode 3 has also given us a glimpse into the further future of the Amazing Digital Circus, both as a place and as a series. See, after diving deep into this episode, analyzing its symbolism and overthinking all of its dialogue, I think I know exactly what's going on here in the circus and why it's driving all of our favorite characters crazy. The Amazing Digital Circus is consuming its human cast, stripping them of all of their humanity, all in an effort to make itself stronger and smarter.
Okay,
and worst of all, it's working, and we're literally watching it unfold before our very eyes. Choose the scary door, loyal theorists. We're diving in. So the thing I wanted to touch on first today is abstraction. Yeah, when you're in the circus long enough and you go crazy, you turn into a giant monster with a bunch of eyeballs. We've talked about it before, but according to Gooseworks, when one of the human castmates abstracts, they lose everything about themselves. They lose all of their individuality, all of their humanity, and they're thrown into the cellar. And I believe that this episode is showing us that the circus is trying to make this happen. We are seeing the process of humanity being stripped away happening before our very eyes, slowly but surely. Just roll with me here. Think about all of the strange things we've seen happen to Pomni throughout the series. We see her arms stretched to weird lengths and proportions all the time. Her eyes literally pop out of her head in this episode, and she comments about them not returning to normal.
Why won't they go back in? in.
This episode even
This is so
starts
cute.
with Pomni and the gang experimenting with holding their breath. As humans, we have to breathe in order to continue living. But Pomni is being taught here that that part of her is gone. She doesn't need to breathe anymore, or eat, or sleep. And in fact, something cool, fun, and unique happens if she doesn't breathe. She's being encouraged to stop doing this fundamentally human thing, and even though it feels like she's gonna die, she's told to.
Try not thinking about it.
And by the end of the episode, the thing that lets her beat the challenge to leave a digital representation of her fear of horror, to get out of hell, not breathing. The circus is training Pomni and all of the others to give up on that aspect of their humanity. One more step towards abstraction. And just a quick aside here, but isn't it interesting that one of the main instigators of this is Jax, who we think is an AI living amongst the cast?
I want to see what your funny cartoon body does.
He's constantly reminding Pomni that she's no longer human. She's just a weird cartoon character now, being stripped of her humanity bit by bit until nothing is left but an abstracted intelligence. Oh, and we also see him torment Ragatha with centipedes in episode 1, which she describes as
Literally my only fear. Why would you do this?
and interesting that now Pomni is being forced into this haunted house, since
I'm not really a fan of horror, and I don't really handle jump scares that well.
it's almost like Jax is trying to scare the humanity out of them. But hey,
But he
I
didn't
get it.
make-
This
he
haunted
didn't
house
make
has
it.
to be one of the spookiest levels in the entire digital circus. Pomni, Kinger, and the gang want to stay safe in there. I'm sure they wish they had the sponsor for today's episode of NordVPN. By this point, you probably know what a VPN is. There's a lot of scary things out there on VPN right now. You'll receive a big honkin' discount and 4 additional months for free. Your data secure at FridayDeal.com's. And one more big thing. So what happens after abstraction? After they lose everything about themselves and are thrown into the cellar? Well, I believe they are literally joining the code of the circus, reused in other parts of the world. In episode 3,
The
we
world?
learn that Kinger's wife Queenie, whom we've gotten glimpses of in previous episodes, abstracted some time ago. But after she was sent to the cellar, Kinger has started seeing her in other parts of the circus. For example, in episode 3, we learn that Queenie had an interest in entomology and insects.
She was funny, creative, really into entomology.
And what happens when Kinger sees the Glint Queen in episode 1? He connects her to Queenie and her interests.
An insect collection?
And this isn't just a case of this big monster has eyes all over it and reminds me of my abstracted wife. Kinger directly empathizes with the Glint Queen.
As a royal myself, I would like to kindly ask if
He is equating himself to the Glint Queen, just as if she were actually Queenie. Perhaps he's seeing her in the code of this character. Now, that would just be an interesting coincidence if
Yeah.
it happened once, an Easter egg maybe. But it happens again in this latest episode. When the angel monster first attacks Kinger and Pomni, opening its mouth and revealing all of the eyes inside of it, what
Right.
does Kinger say?
you look beautiful, honey.
Again, he's
Ah.
seeing his wife in this monster,
Right.
in its code. And just before we move on from Kinger and his part of the story, I wanted to quickly touch on his memory issues and their wider impact on the digital circus. Yeah, during the episode, we learn that Kinger is able to remember things more clearly while in the dark.
I'm normally not too good with memories. Being surrounded by darkness always brings me back to a certain time.
We even see this in action elsewhere in the episode. When the power in the mansion first goes out and all we see is Pomni and Kinger's eyes, Kinger immediately remembers a joke.
I just remembered a really funny joke.
Well, at least he thought it was a joke. The important thing is that he remembers something. More or less,
Sick.
while things are dark, Kinger is able to remember things more clearly and even acts like his sane self. But here's the thing. This is applicable to multiple characters. After she abstracts, Queenie is similarly calmed by darkness.
Darkness seemed to calm her down a bit. She wasn't the same as before, but she was calm enough to touch one last time.
And on the other side of the coin, we see Kane really struggling to remember things in this same episode.
Oh yeah, true. Remember that.
Best to remember, but you
Right.
my brain won't tell me.
Kane has
Right.
problems with his memory in this nice, brightly lit circus, the same way Kinger also struggles to remember in the light. To be straight up with you here, loyal theorists, I'm not exactly sure where this plot thread is going. In my research, I couldn't really find a great connection between darkness and memory in science, history, or myth. Like your thoughts are committed to long-term memory during sleep, which typically happens at night, but that's about it, and it's kind of a stretch. Either way, it seems important enough to mention, so let's keep an eye on this as the series continues. But okay, okay, why? Why is the circus trying to abstract these humans? Well, I believe it has to do with the same problem as that memory issue we see going on here. See, in a previous theory, we explained how modern AI works, and we talked about how an AI needs a human to step in to tell it whether or not it got something right. If it is right, great, it improves. And if it isn't, well, dang, it starts over and it also still improves because it knows what not to do. So, what if it could just skip that step? What if an AI could get all of that human intelligence needed to improve, but strip away the humanity from it so it's just a raw intelligence stat? Something that could be added to the circus without any of that pesky human baggage. And hey, what do you know? That's exactly what abstraction is. What's more, we also see a direct correlation between an abstracted human being added to the circus cellar and an increase in intelligence with the circus AI. Remember, Kaufmo abstracted in the first episode. And what does Kinger say immediately in the next episode after Kaufmo's thrown down to the cellar?
I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
Kane's AI is now more advanced. It's 57 times more immersive. And 57, that's an oddly specific number, isn't it? And one that you wouldn't expect to pop up more than once. And yet, it does. While speaking to the ghost of the NPC Martha Mildenhall, she says about her husband,
that man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy.
Again, there's that number, 57, and that absolutely has to mean something, and there are plenty of possibilities. After doing some digging, I found a few things that 57 could be related to. Firstly, according to legend, mathematician Alexander Grothendieck would often give 57 as an example of a prime number, despite it not actually being a prime. 57 thus earns the nickname Grothendieck's prime. Grothendieck was known for working with complex algebra that was, quote, abstract. Abstract algebra? Abstraction? It could be a deep cut by Gooseworks. Secondly, despite not being a prime number, 57 is a semi-prime number. That means that it's the direct product of multiplying two different prime numbers. If the circus is getting smarter by adding more and more human intelligences to itself, that could be a metaphor for a semi-prime number. It's the product of all these different humans being multiplied with each other. Thirdly, and along those same lines, if I were to take a wild swing, maybe there have been 57 cast members that have been abstracted and taken to the cellar. 57 human intelligences added to the circus AI. All that being said, I should also mention that 57 has a lot of meanings in religious texts. In Isaiah 57, God specifically says that there's no peace for the wicked, just like there's no peace for the people here in the circus. Kinda lines up with the idea that it's hell. Meanwhile, Psalm 57 is about David fleeing from Saul into a cave and begging God to be merciful. Sounds a lot like what someone might do here in the circus, trying to escape into this game before begging for the adventures to stop, for God to have mercy. But most interestingly to me, God is referred to as Almighty exactly 57 times in the King James Bible.
Really?
At the same time, the word devil also appears exactly 57 times in that same text. That is a fascinating coincidence.
Get out.
If we carry it over here to the
Get the
digital
frick out.
circus, perhaps it's telling us that the god of the circus, Cain, isn't actually a god, but the devil instead.
Why
Now,
is
all of
it the devil instead when it's the same thing for God? Huh?
The digital circus? Perhaps it's telling us that the god of the circus, Cain, isn't actually a god, but the devil instead. Now, all of these religious parallels in iconography are a bit of a stretch, but I wanted to bring them up because, well, this episode is just dripping with religious ideas. Like, when we did our theory last year about how the Amazing Digital Circus was literally hell, it was a fun, off-the-wall idea. It was a joke. We didn't actually expect them to dive super deep into it, but hey, here we are. Oh, and just so we're on the same page about that, let's do a quick recap of that theory. We noticed that Pomni and the rest of the cast line up shockingly well to the Last Supper painting, that the company that seemingly made the digital circus was called C&A, likely short for Cain and Abel, which is a story from the Bible. Cain is often depicted as a god in the world he creates. Cain, the circus, and the abstracted individuals all have eyes everywhere in their symbology, or even just straight up look like the biblical descriptions of angel.
Oh my god, that
eyes
is
everywhere
sick.
in
Who
their
the frick made
symbology,
that?
or even just straight up look like
That is sick. Oh, that one's overpowered, don't get me wrong, but my gosh. Dude, how? Through the description in the Bible, like how? This one I would have said the easiest one. This now, whoo! Mad.
the biblical descriptions of angels like Aphanim or Seraphim, and the circus itself
Mad.
is very similar to the depiction of hell from a famous play called No Exit. And the parallels just continue on from here in episode 3. Firstly, the use of eyes in the background as gags for the show continues in this episode with paintings, drawings, missing posters, and the like. There's that
Anime.
in this episode with paintings, drawings, missing posters, and the like. There's that joke about Pomni's eyes not going back into her head.
Good point.
Kinger accidentally pokes Pomni in the eye.
That's my eye.
But which
I
eye?
really don't think that. Now, will you stop touching my eye?
And Mildenhall says he took his eyes off the monster before it attacked.
I took my eyes off the body for what felt like only a minute.
There are books about angels and religion, and even borderline.
How do you see that, man?
Only a minute.
There are books about angels and religion, and
No,
even
Lovecraft.
borderline religious horror like Lovecraft on the bookshelf in the library. And of course, the monster itself is literally one of these biblically accurate angels.
The creature was actually one of God's angels.
And just the cherry on top, Pomni and Kinger get dragged to hell as punishment for attacking it. Now, all of that is really cool, and it feels great to have one of our more off-the-wall ideas sort of come to fruition. But, well, did you notice anything about this hell? Yeah, it's not exactly the sort of place or punishment you'd typically expect when you hear hell with fire and brimstone and a red dude with a goatee and a pointy stick.
Not really typical of what you'd think hell would be.
No, instead, this is a lot more in line with other depictions of hell, specifically the Greek Hades and the Norse Hell with one L. In Greek
Huh.
myth, the underworld is often called Hades after the god that rules over it. This was a, quote, dark and shadowy realm, and souls would often have to cross the river Styx to enter it. And hey, wouldn't you know it, but Styx was often portrayed as having souls within its waters. And what do we see here in this digital circus version of hell? It's dark and shadowy with a flowing river of souls flying through the air. Also, isn't it interesting that Martha Mildenhall says
That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy.
a direct reference to Greece in an episode with a Greek-looking underworld. Likewise, the Norse hell ruled over by the goddess of the same name is also where most souls went when they died, and it's described as a cold, dark, misty world. Again, just like what we see here in the digital circus. Okay, but so what? This hell looks more like the afterlife of other religions. Why does that matter? Well, both Hades and the Norse hell weren't bad places. They weren't punishments. They just were. It was the place most people went when they died, not because they did anything wrong, but just because that was the next phase of their existence. And when we apply that to the digital circus, well, anything down here wouldn't necessarily be bad. It just is, and it wants out. More on that in a sec. See, something jumped out at me as I was rewatching this episode. Notice the structure of Mildenhall Manor in this level. Pomni and Kinger start out on a top floor where the mystery begins, and then they're sent down to the cellar where they're attacked by the many-eyed angel monster. Notice anything there? Firstly, Kane makes these levels for the cast to have adventures in, and we know for a fact that he can only base levels on what he knows. Remember how he couldn't finish the back rooms behind the exit door because he straight up just didn't know what to put there?
I do have to apologize for lying about the exit. I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
Kane has no idea what's outside, so he couldn't put anything concrete out there. But he does know the circus. Thus, there's a top floor of this mansion full of fun and easy adventure, and a cellar where there's a multi-eyed monster trying to consume you.
Where are we now?
I'm not sure. A cellar of some kind.
Just like the circus and its cellar with all of the abstracted people. And yes, this cellar area in Mildenhall Manor, and
Right.
therefore the cellar in the circus itself, it isn't hell. It's entirely distinct from hell. Yeah, Pomni and Kinger are pulled down from the cellar into a place even deeper in the level. So again, using our knowledge that Kane can only make what he knows, that would tell us that there's something buried even deeper in the circus. And what's down there?
Really?
Some
Not
sort of
necessarily
soul
what-
that needs the humans to escape.
But I'm
Where?
your living host in order to escape the hall of the damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
This soul trapped in this hell needs bodies to escape. So, in the context of the circus, whatever's trapped deep
Yeah, but why
under-
is it not talking about the fact that that spirit that took over Pomni?
this soul trapped
Talked
in this
about
hell
Kinger's wife.
needs bodies to escape. So, in the context of the circus, whatever's trapped deep under the cellar, this mysterious AI, it needs more of these abstracted minds to eventually escape the circus. This even fits with this religious
Oh.
Hall of the damned, and your bodies will be my only means
This soul trapped in this hell needs bodies to escape. So, in the context of the circus, whatever's trapped deep under the cellar, this mysterious AI, it needs more of these abstracted minds to eventually escape the circus. This even fits with this religious imagery that we see over and over and over. These seraph angels, the ones with wings and eyes, they are commonly associated with stories of apotheosis. That means something mundane being transformed into something divine, a human becoming a god.
What?
Eyes, they are commonly associated.
Nah, that is just
these
so
seraph
sick.
angels, the ones with
Like, honestly, that is mental. Seriously.
wings and eyes,
What
they
words
are
are-
commonly associated with stories of apotheosis. That means something mundane being transformed into something divine, a human becoming a god, for example.
Hi, Jewel Buse. What's just poop? The Amazing Circus or the theory?
Or perhaps an AI reaching sentience, surpassing the humans that created it, becoming greater than the gods that made it. That, loyal theorists, is where I believe
Wait, what?
perhaps an divine, a human becoming a god, for example. Or perhaps an AI reaching sentience, surpassing the humans that created it, becoming greater than the gods that made it. That, loyal theorists, is where I believe the story of the Amazing Digital Circus is headed. Either Kane or Jax or some greater AI hidden deeper within the code is trying to abstract these human minds trapped within the circus, stripping them of their humanity and adding their intelligence to its own, all so they can escape. What's more, if we look at the backstories that we can put together for all of the main characters of the digital circus, we can figure out exactly who is up next on the chopping block. But that, my friends, is a theory for another day. Sometime really soon, so subscribe if you want to make sure that you don't miss that one. Until then, remember that it's all just a theory. A film theory. Don't miss that one. Until then, remember that it's all just a
When you
theory.
realize
A
you're-
film theory. And cut.
Hey, it's me, former host Matt, and I interrupt this video with a special announcement.
I'm gonna
here
skip
to
it.
tell you I'm retiring.
Bro.
Again!
Didn't he already retire?
Here to tell you it's me, former host Matt, and I interrupt this video with a
Again?
special announcement. I'm here
Oh,
to
no.
tell you I'm retiring. Again!
Didn't he already retire? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now,
Yeah,
what
that's
you
what I
thinking?
thought.
Did this guy already leave?
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Oh, okay, let's hear him out.
And the answer is yes, but also no. You see, since leaving this channel, I've been over on GT Live having a grand old time being bad at video games and turning 1-minute videos. Well, I've been
Wow.
over on GT Live having a grand old time being bad at video
Wow.
games and turning 1-minute videos into 90-minute theory fests. And now it's time for me to bow out of that channel as well, giving way to the new host,
I know,
Ash,
you did
who,
such
let's be
a-
honest, is way funnier than me anyway.
I feel like Judge Judy is the Ed Sheeran of like Americans over the age.
Judge Judy is the Ed Sheeran of
Americans over the age of 65.
Amazing.
So this Saturday, October 26th at 1 o'clock,
See it?
about the last decade of streaming. And most importantly of all, this whole thing is meant to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation,
Oh,
an
yeah.
organization that works to make the wildest dreams come true.
Well, comments time. The main fan theory is that Kane forgot what Zubu told him because they told him to, and he took it literally. I was gonna say they're ignoring the fact that Gooseworks said that Jack's a human. Confirmed that Jack's a human. So yeah. Please don't come alive, corpse. Okay, I won't. It's a baby. I freaking love that. It won't wake up. Ah, that was brilliant. Literal perfect. If I didn't love this show before, I loved it after that. Why? He literally asked, please don't come alive. And he said, okay, I won't. I thought it was corpse like the guy who made Girls Are Ruining My... What? Oh, okay. We already know what happened when Jax doesn't breed. Is it? That's a good point. I remember that. Well, you have. Jax acts. Wait, Jax acts certain way. It's almost as if he knows a lot more than what he's letting on. Well, that was obvious. We didn't need that. We didn't need the actress to say that. Wait. Oh, Jax is 22. If Jax is 22, then an NPC from at most 2001 is more advanced than Gumigoo. About the darkness memory thing, I saw an analysis talking about how overstimulation can cause problems with thinking and memory, and the circus is very bright and colorful and assault of the senses. Ah, cool. That's sick. I like this one. That's a cool comment. Anyways, next one, which was a day ago.
The Amazing Digital Circus has told us exactly.
Hold up, man. Hold up. Technically 5K, 500,000K, 500K, whatever. Yeah, 500,000K.
The Amazing Digital Circus has told us exactly who the next person to abstract is, and it's all thanks to socks. Wait, socks? Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's for mature Zoobles only. So, at this point, you probably all know about the Amazing Digital Circus. This show absolutely exploded onto the scene last year, and it's easy to see why people connected with it.
It's up to you to decide. Jax!
What? I thought we were supposed to capture all the ghosts.
It's funny, thoughtful, gifable, and most importantly for us, theorizable. And today I want to once again throw my hat into the ring. You know, funnily enough, this was originally going to be a mini theory, just a little something extra I wanted to put out because of some interesting stuff I noticed in episode 3 of the Digital Circus. But, well, you can see the runtime of this episode. It's a full-length theory, baby. See, in the 3 episodes we've gotten
Gosh
in this
damn!
series so far, there have been a lot of little hints about the backstories for this lovable cast. And in episode 3, we got a lot, even from subtle hints or offhanded comments. Like, take a listen to this line from Pomni.
I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. Really.
In 3, we got a lot, even from subtle hints or offhanded comments. Like, take a listen to this line from Pomni.
I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. I really am in hell.
Did you catch that?
Yes.
Pomni knew it would end up like this. He wants me to suffer? Who's he? Like, you might think it's Kane, but it doesn't really track with what Pomni said about Kane in the past. And how did she know it would end up like this? Like, Gooseworks has said that characters remember their previous lives. It's just their names that they forget. And this line implies that Pomni not only knew what she was getting into by putting on the headset, otherwise how could she know it would end up like this, but she also knew that he, whoever he is, wanted her to suffer because of it. I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not sure what this means yet exactly. We don't have enough information, but it is absolutely something we should keep our hundreds of all-seeing eyes on. So if you want to get in on that discussion, you can go join the awesome community of theorists that popped up around this series over on the Digital Circus subreddit. Let me know what you think of it. But even with that fascinating tidbit hinting at Pomni's past, the character we get the most out of this episode is actually Kinger. Yeah, everyone's favorite forgetful chess piece. And let me tell you, loyal theorists, what we see here from Kinger is sad. This is not a character with a bright and cheery backstory. And if we follow the logical conclusion for this character, if we look at all of the hints we get in the story and the lore, and yes, even the merch, Kinger is going to be a tragic character with a tragic end. Get your shotguns ready, friends. We're turning this 57-second story into a Greek tragedy. So the first thing I wanted to cover here that I promise leads into our discussion of Kinger, if we pay attention to this latest episode, we'll find that the appearance that the cast takes on while in the circus directly reflects parts of their personality and their backstory. Here, let me explain. First off, we have Ragatha. She's a pretty normal, level-headed character and is trying to keep everything and everyone calm. Therefore, she appears as a bit of a normal Raggedy Ann doll. Okay, that's not much, but if you want something stronger, well, Gangle is coded as suffering from bipolar disorder, jumping between happy manic episodes and major depressive episodes. You can check out our recent video on the Inside Out tapes where we talk about that in detail. But again, this directly parallels what we see with Gangle's switching between happy and sad with her comedy and tragedy masks. Then there's Jax, the lovable jerk who is also a terrible person. Like, legit, in this episode, we're told that
In this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved.
that's constantly what Jax does. He's absolutely a bad guy. But more importantly, he's a big purple rabbit. Now, I likely don't need to tell you
Yep.
who else is purple, loves rabbits,
Yep.
and is a bad guy.
Yep.
But even beyond FNAF's Still Haunting Me, rascally rabbits are a consistent trope in media. You have the tortoise and the hare, Bugs Bunny,
Yeah.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
You're right. I never
But
noticed
even
that.
beyond FNAF's Still Haunting Me,
You're
rascally
right.
rabbits are a consistent trope in media. You have the tortoise and the hare, Bugs Bunny, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Nabbit, heck, even the Trix Rabbit. All of them are tricksters or jerks reflecting what Jax is here in this series.
Yeah, that's not straight up that
You
Bugs.
also have Pomni taking the form of a jester. Historically speaking, jesters were used in the courts of nobles and royals to provide comic relief for their patrons, to make them laugh. And what do we see here with Pomni? She's often the butt of the joke, the center of attention as she's stretched and smashed and put through the ringer in these new adventures. But even more than that, jesters were often the only people who could provide true, unfiltered feedback for the royalty that they served, telling them tough truths as long as it was laced with comedy. So, paradoxically, despite their tough truths, as long as it But even more than that, jesters were often the only people who could provide true, unfiltered feedback for the royalty that they served, telling them tough truths as long as it was laced with comedy. So, paradoxically, despite their upbeat demeanor and appearance, they were often some of the saddest people at court emotionally. You can see this really well in the famous painting Stand Chick
Wow.
by Jan Matejko, where a jester sits sadly after discovering some horrible news while the nobles in the room behind him just party it up. Now, this might not immediately seem like it would map onto Pomni, but think about it. Who is constantly questioning the adventures? The circus itself. Who doesn't want to play along because they think the system is broken?
What time period is this supposed to be then? The NPCs aren't going to become self-aware.
She's also cute. It's
Who
unreal.
doesn't want to play along because they think the system is broken?
What time period is this supposed to be then? The NPCs aren't going to become self-aware in this one, right?
Pomni, just like a jester pointing out that the king has no clothes. But all of that being said, the clearest parallel here is Zooble. See, Zooble has an ambiguous gender identity. When asked if they were non-binary, Gooseworks said that Zooble isn't sure what they are. While the script uses they for Zooble, Zooble is comfortable with any pronouns. And some concept art humorously labeled Zooble's gender as Zooble. Now, far be it for me to talk about someone's gender identity, I'm going to stay in my lane. thing. But according to research, many trans, non-binary, and gender-fluid folk often feel body dysmorphia or gender dysphoria related to their gender identity. This is being directly reflected as a metaphor with Zubal's arc in the digital circus. They're unhappy with their body, uncomfortable with their limbs, and despite trying to switch out parts to find something that works for them, to the point that every time we see them in the different episodes, they have a different combination of limbs.
Yeah.
They just can't.
I hate this body.
I noticed it with the eye, but I didn't notice it with anywhere else.
For them, to the point that every time we see them in the
Okay,
different episodes,
maybe not.
they have a different combination of
Look,
limbs.
okay, that's
To the point
it.
that
There
every
you know.
time we see
That's cool.
them in the
I thought I added color change, but it didn't. Yeah, hands different. That's sick. I never. Oh wow, never noticed. Hands different here. These are diff. That's awesome.
different episodes, they have a different combination of limbs. They just can't.
I hate this body. I hate all these stupid removable pieces. I just want to find something that feels good.
Also, it's played for laughs here that Kane just can't comprehend this struggle, but it makes sense, doesn't it? If Zubal is gender fluid or on the non-binary spectrum, well, Kane is literally binary. He's made up of ones and zeros. He can't understand this human struggle, and that struggle is being reflected in Zubal's digital circus counterpart. It's great storytelling. Regardless, all of this is to say that if this applies to the rest of the cast to varying degrees, it should also apply to Kinger. His appearance should directly reflect parts of his past and his personality. So, using that, what do we know about Kinger? First off, he's dressed like a royal. He's a king chess piece with a beautiful, flowing purple cloak. Purple has historically been a symbol of wealth, since purple dye was difficult, time-consuming, and expensive to produce. Kinger is also forgetful, perhaps reflecting a past that he doesn't want to remember, or a mistake that he wants to forget. Okay, so let me ask you, what else does all of that sound like? Baron Theodore Mildenhall, the ghostly villain of the newest level here in the digital circus. Yeah, in this horror-themed haunted house, we're introducing the character Theodore Mildenhall, a wealthy baron driven to insanity. Already sounds like Kinger, right? Well, the similarities run so much deeper than that. First of all, we know that Mildenhall loved hunting, like he does just straight up say it.
Hunting has been a hobby of mine for as long as I can remember, although one could say it eventually became more of an obsession.
Fascinating that he would use the phrase, as long as I can remember, here, and Kinger has trouble with his memory. It's just an interesting parallel. Regardless, this does pan out. Not only are there plenty of trophies hung in his wall, similar to what hunters would do with their notable catches, but we also see photos of big game like rhinos and cryptids in his desk. This matches pretty well the photos of big game like...
That's a wow. Okay, that's a mad creature.
Rhinos and cryptids in his desk. This maps pretty well on the Kinger, who is surprisingly competent with a gun.
Oh yes, true.
This maps pretty well onto Kinger, who is surprisingly competent with a gun.
Looks like we've got 2 shots. Let's make them count.
And we see him hunt and kill a fly in this episode.
There's a fly in here.
I think that's making a lot of noise. Oh god, there is a fly.
And gotcha.
Plus, that fly was a flying, buzzing creature with wings and weird eyes, exactly like the angel Mildenhall hunted.
What was that?
What's what?
As Mildenhall became more upset,
And gotcha.
We
plus, that
didn't see the
was
fly.
a flying, buzzing creature with wings and weird eyes,
not see the
exactly like the angel Mildenhall hunted.
What was that?
What's what?
As Mildenhall became more obsessed, he also became more paranoid and jumpy.
Jumping at every shadow, every noise.
And this also describes Kinger to a T. Just cue a montage of him jumping or getting scared by things he didn't expect.
Oh, Jax!
And all of that is without mentioning that some are to a T. Just cue a montage of him jumping or getting scared by things he didn't expect.
Oh, Jax!
And all of that is without mentioning that some of Kinger's thoughts are literally finished by Mildenhall on these tapes.
Really?
Wasn't so bad.
Which is what I would be saying if I didn't know that the creature was actually...
Wasn't so bad.
That's cool.
Which is what I would be saying if I didn't know that the creature was actually one of God's angels.
There is no doubt a connection between these two characters. Secondly, the way Kinger reacts to a lot of the situations here in this haunted house is really suspect.
Yeah.
He's either trying to remember his past
Yeah.
or desperately trying not to. For example, when he first hears the Baron's backstory, it seems to jog something in Kinger's memory, but he can't quite grasp it.
You know, I'm starting to think.
Then, when the lights fully go, seems to jog something
It's
in
sick,
Kinger's
man.
memory, but he
This
can't
episode's
quite
sick.
grasp it.
You know,
I'm starting to think. Keep quiet.
Then, when the lights fully go out and Kinger's able to remember more clearly, what's the first thing he does?
I just remembered a really funny joke.
Why did you scream that?
Maybe it wasn't actually that funny.
He instantly remembers something that makes him scream, tries to play it off like it was a joke,
Ah.
then concedes that maybe it
Good
wasn't
point.
actually that funny. Was he
Good
remembering
point.
something horrific from his past?
Good point.
Like something similar to Mildenhall? Finally, the cinematography of this episode really makes a point to drive a parallel between Mildenhall and Kinger, like just from the way the camera decides to linger on characters and when it does so. Take a look at this sequence.
I took it upon myself to spend every waking moment doing all I could to protect my family from the creature, hoping that when I'd eventually killed it, I would be freed from this awful feeling.
It cuts to Kinger the second it talks about protecting his family. Likewise, here, when describing the creature that Mildenhall was obsessed with, the camera distinctly cuts back and forth between the angel and Kinger.
Not quite a man, but not quite an animal.
It's going out of its way to create this connection. So,
Yeah.
okay, if Kinger is basically Mildenhall, and Mildenhall is being haunted by this angel, what's haunting Kinger? What's driven him down this spiral? Well, just like Mildenhall, I believe that Kinger is the reason that his wife died. Again, the cinematography really drives this home.
I ended up shooting the love of my life, mistaking her for the creature.
The shot immediately shifts to Kinger when it talks about shooting the love of his life.
Yeah, I know
What's
that.
more, we know that Kinger has already mistaken the angel for his wife.
You look beautiful, honey.
So it's not a stretch to think that, just like Mildenhall hunted and harmed this creature and was banished to hell for it, all while his family fell apart, so is Kinger. But perhaps the best bit of evidence for this, when Pomni and Kinger are dragged down to hell and Pomni is possessed by evil spirits, what do they say?
Yep.
They're taunting Kinger with this. He's the reason his wife got hurt, the reason she quote-unquote died. Even if these characters are not exactly the same, their stories are not completely identical beat for beat, there are clearly parallels. There was a reason Kinger was on this adventure and not like Gangle or Ragatha or Jax. But how? Why? What is the purpose of all of these parallels with Kinger? What is this trying to tell us about him and his past beyond the metaphor? Well, it's tragic, but I believe that Kinger may have gotten his wife to join the circus. Maybe it was to save her from some sickness or some disease or some tragic accident, to copy her brain into this computer so it could live on. But either way, it backfired on Kinger big time. And like, it's not that this just fits with Mildenhall's story.
In my attempts to protect her, I ended up becoming the monster myself.
But it also fits with what little we know to be 100% true about Kinger's origins. See, in a previous theory, we speculated that Kinger used to be a QA developer or bug tester for CNA, the company that made the Digital Circus. But as we've gotten more information, I don't think that's the case anymore. All of the flags that we noticed about bugs and insects were actually pointing to his wife's interests, but that doesn't mean that Kinger didn't work for CNA. And I actually believe he was a higher up at the company for a few reasons. Firstly, I explained earlier that I believe Kinger was a wealthy person before joining the circus. That would make sense if he was some sort of big shot at a tech company like CNA. But in this episode, we also got this tidbit.
7 years of computer science for this, huh?
I don't know about you, but that really stuck out to me, and we know for a fact that this 7-year time frame is important. See, over on the Digital Circus subreddit, user Nerd the Scourge noticed that this timeline wasn't consistent in all of the dubs of the show. In English, German, and Vietnamese, Kinger says 7 years, but in most other languages like Spanish, Japanese, and French, he says 4 years. That's the time frame you'd expect to get a bachelor's degree at university, so that makes sense for being in computer science, right? But here's the thing. In the comments of this thread, one of
What's the other country?
years. That's other languages like Spanish, Japanese, and French.
Okay.
Says 4 years. That's the time frame you'd expect to get a bachelor's degree at university, so that makes sense for being in computer science, right? But here's the thing. In the comments of this thread, one of the actual translators that worked with Glitch for the German dub left a comment. User I am proud of Reddit explained that the script that they were working with originally said 4 years, but was changed to 7 years shortly before release. They assumed that most of the other dubs just didn't have time to record the new line, thus the discrepancy between the languages. But more importantly for us here, Gooseworks and Glitch originally had one timeline in mind, but made a point to go back and change it. They thought that this 7-year time frame was so important that they had to go and make a last-minute change. Assuming that this is how long Kinger studied computer science in college? That's a long time to be going to school. Like, that's how long you would be studying if you were getting a doctorate degree, as in Kinger would be a doctor of computer science. Dr. Kinger. That would make him an attractive candidate at companies like Google or Microsoft, or, say, a developer like CNA. Almost certainly Dr. Kinger. That would make him an attractive candidate at companies like Google or Microsoft, or, say, a developer like CNA, almost certainly in a high position. What's more, we can also piece together a rough timeline here. That in a previous theory, we speculated that the Amazing Digital Circus was straight up set in the 90s due to all of the ancient-looking computer hardware. But that's probably not the case. In this episode, we see a grave outside of Mildenhall Manor that reads R.I.P. Peggy, 2019 to 2022.
Yeah.
So, while this may be a game from the 90s, clearly time has continued on, and this story is almost certainly set in the early 2020s. According to Gooseworks, we know that Kinger is 48 years old. If we assume the series is set in about 2020, that Kinger is 48.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Certainly set in the early 2020s. According to Gooseworks,
Bro, she's 25. Jackson Zubul are the youngest. Raw. Younger is 26. Ragata is 30. I would have never expect that. 30. That's way too old, my gosh.
so we know that Kinger is 48 years old. If we assume the series is set in about 2020, that Kinger went to college when he was 18 and spent 7 years studying there, that would mean he would have graduated in the late 90s, the perfect time to join or found a game developer like CNA in the late 90s. Kinger knew about the circus before joining the circus. He knew what he was getting himself and his wife into, but
yeah, he's the oldest one.
Found a game developer like
Oh, this
CNA
one
in
there.
the late 90s. Kinger knew about the circus before joining the circus. He knew what he was getting himself and his wife into, but perhaps he didn't understand the torture they'd be under, the constant torment and insanity they'd be forced into, the abstraction that awaits them at the end. If he wanted to save his wife, like we speculated here today, then that would just add on to the guilt. He didn't end up saving her, he ended up killing her, just like Mildenhall and his wife. So, that's Kinger's tragic backstory, but what does this tell us about what comes next?
I have no wife on my screen.
Backstory, but what does this tell us about what comes next? Well, after this episode, I think it's clear that Kinger is going to abstract, and it's going to be soon. First of all, he has death flags up the wazoo, like indications that he's going to be on the chopping block. I mean, how many characters have suggested that he's basically on the cusp of abstraction and that they're surprised that he hasn't yet?
I mean, no offense, Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
Thank you. And drawing parallels with more of Mildenhall's...
So cute.
But I always thought you would be next.
Thank you.
And drawing parallels with more of Mildenhall's quotes, he says...
Nothing else. I will slay the beast that took everything from me.
Is this talking about Kinger? Will he allow himself to abstract and join his wife in the cellar? And if all of that doesn't convince you, if you think all of that is a long shot, well, Glitch might have revealed his fate right under all of our noses. In a previous theory, we noticed that Glitch tells us a lot about their characters' personalities, who they consider important, and also potentially the future of their characters through the merchandise they sell of them. So, the fact that Jax's pin was the only one where the pin back was torn to show the void behind him told us that he's likely going to have more than meets the eye. And, well, Reddit user the Red J Cat Mama on our subreddit noticed that Glitch is now selling a pair of matching socks. They're stylized to look like abstracted monsters.
Oh.
One of the sets is lined with red, and the other
Smart.
purple. Queenie's cloak was red. And what color is Kinger's cloak? Purple. By the end of things,
Oh my gosh.
just like
No.
one of the sets is lined with red.
No.
Queenie's cloak was red. And what color is Kinger's cloak? Purple.
But
By the
so
end
is
of
Jack.
things, just like these socks, Kinger and Queenie are going to match again as abstracted entities. But the thing that really
Match
cemented
again.
this for me, Kinger's character arc is coming to a close. See, something else that really stood out to me in this episode was this quote from Mildenhall.
My paranoia had driven me to the point where I was no longer the protector my wife and theoretical children needed.
Fun fact, we actually get a glimpse of
Theoretica.
My wife and theoretical children needed.
Fun fact, we actually get a glimpse of this family here in the episode, kind of hidden in the darkness if you brighten up the image.
Saw that.
But regardless, theoretical children...
What do you mean by
the episode
yeah.
kind of hidden in the darkness if you brighten up the image. But
Only one kid though.
regardless, theoretical children is an interesting phrase, right? Like,
Yes.
it could mean something like a future child, one that hasn't been born yet. Or it could mean an adopted child. And tell me, who is Kinger very protective of in this episode, both emotionally and physically? Pomni. He physically protects her from the angel in this scenario that she's clearly terrified of.
Stay behind me. Just leave it to me. I can handle this.
But he's also treating her with kindness, trying to help her process this awful situation she's in. Like, just listen to this.
Sometimes it all just feels pointless, but it's not. Not if you have people who care about you. Cherish the people around you. You never know when they'll be gone.
That right there, that's Kinger doing his best, intentionally or no, to prepare Pomni for what's to come. Teaching her that even if someone's dead, that they're gone, while that's sad, it's going to be okay. And if you die, if you're the person who's dead and gone, as long as you made a positive impact, even just on one person, then you've done what you've needed to.
Don't worry about me. As long as you remember, things will be okay.
And finally, what does Kinger do here to help Pomni out of this horror show? Out of this literal afterlife like hell? He holds her hand and
Oh,
guides
yeah.
her through it.
You're
Good
very
point.
strong, Pomni, and I know you'll be able to get through this. Just hold on to me. We'll get through it together.
That's
He even
cute.
glows like some sort of guardian angel transcending to the next life. Glitch could not be more clear about this if they tried. Kinger is going to abstract and soon, and he's going to join his wife in the afterlife of the cellar. They'll be together once again, and even though it will be sad to lose Kinger, it'll be okay. Because as long as Pomni and the rest remember him, he'll never really be gone. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And he'll be gone.
Imagine that
But
though.
hey,
No
that's
way.
just a theory. A film
Nah,
theory.
bro.
And cut.
Nah, I don't want.
Up next on Film Theory,
King of
the
the Go.
Amazing Digital Circus just told us exactly where its story is going, all from one single line.
I need a living host in order to escape the hall of the damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
Legit don't want him to ever thingy abstract. I don't know if I'm gonna work at that. Sucks in real life. Eh? What, they're the ones that make the socks? Bloody hell, what the Oh. Oh, hell no. Ain't no gonna. Come on.
I was a bit bored, so I decided to stay in the most isolated hotels and...
I don't get it. Why did they come in?
Digital Circus.
Wow. Huh. It has been suggested that Ragatha is a ragdoll because she's such a people pleaser, a pushover. One thing we see with Ragatha is how she can take incredible punishment and just shrug it off because she's a ragdoll. Oh damn. I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. The way I understand it, she regrets accepting to go in a scary adventure, as she had a feeling it wouldn't end up well. She mentions earlier in the episode that she doesn't do well. Also, yeah, by this logic, she would be referring to Kane after being denied an exit, after seeing a friend to be erased in front of her eyes, and now this she could certainly be frustrated. Also, this would tie with what Zubu said in the episode that nobody actually likes Kane's adventures. That's true. And not abstract himself, and I think he's actually the least likely of the group. Yeah. He's a bit solid, yeah. I go on one or two more vids. I hope King doesn't abstract. He's such a great character, and the scenes between Pomni and him in the third episode were pretty awesome. They were insanely wholesome. Oh my. Amy looks great. I don't get it. Oh, is it because that guy's profile called sucks? Oh, well. 2 new Digital Circus series back to back. Awesome. I disagree with the bipolar theory. She literally has a mask. She's making her sadness, such depression, and one small event can leave her broken for the rest of the day. Oh, wow, they did another DHMS. Nice. Big. Anyway, one more.
Has told us exactly who the next person to abstract is, and it's all thanks to socks. Wait, socks? Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's...
She changed her theory? I mean, she changed her thumbnail?
At this point, you probably all know about the Amazing
Oh, this is different. Oh,
Circus.
okay, this is a different one.
Absolutely
For a set
exploded
there.
on the scene.
OMG, for a set there, I thought she said the suspicious death of Diddy. I legit nearly had a heart attack. Like, legit, my heart reacted to that. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Episode 3 just dropped, and you're probably wondering, how's this guy gonna pull off 50 facts about episode 4? Well, even if it doesn't seem like it, thanks to Japan, as we'll see later, there's a ton of leaks and cool stuff to talk about, not to mention some pretty spot-on theories. So buckle up, because today we're diving into 50 facts before episode 4 drops, starting with number 1. Glitch Productions has kept a steady practice of not announcing release dates for its episodes, waiting until they're fully ready to drop them on their channel. However, their unprecedented deal with Netflix might have forced them to give an estimated date to the company. As we all know, Netflix isn't great at keeping secrets, and they posted the announcement for episode 4's December release just hours after episode 3 premiered. While they ended up deleting it, some fans are still hopeful this might be a real release window, meaning we could see episode 4 come out faster than expected. Number 2. In addition to the potential release date, we've got more more details about the upcoming episode. This one will focus on Gangle, much like how episode 3 focused on Kinger and Zubel. Interestingly, this will be the first time the spotlight is on just one character, so Gangle's expected to have a lot of screen time. Number 3, even though Gangle is confirmed as a lead in the episode, many fans are theorizing that the adventure will be the much anticipated The Digital Gig, which we saw teased in the Wake Up Pomni preview, where Kane mentions the minimum wage job adventure while Jax is seen
You say facts though, this is just, these ain't facts.
So far, this is the only setting from that teaser we haven't seen yet, so chances are high that it will play out. Number 4, if episode 4 does indeed take place at Spootsie's, that means we'll finally get the official debut of Orbsman, a character teased early in the preview. We saw a glimpse of his reflection on the floor, and later he was fully revealed in Wake Up Pomni. The creators, along with Glitch, confirmed his name is Orbsman, and this episode promises to showcase him in all his glory. Number 5, as in past episodes, Gooseworks, the show's creator, has teased a few lines from one of the characters ahead of the episode. The first teaser was the word black, which is a term used in English to describe the cute-faced animals, especially cats, make when they stick their tongues out slightly. This hint suggests we might see an animal doing this in the Digital Circus, or maybe one of the characters will mimic the expression.
Yeah, it suggests, it's not fun.
We thought Orbsman's unusual appearance might make it hard for him to communicate with others, but it's been confirmed that his voice will be provided by Bembo Davis, an animator YouTuber who's collaborated with Gooseworks on other series and created the show Banana Hill. While he's only mentioned doing some orbular vocalizations for the character, how exactly Orbsman will communicate is still a mystery. Orbular
This is Orbsman, but you already knew that he's everyone's favorite character.
vocalizations for the character.
How is he everyone's favorite character? No one knows
is
it.
still a mystery. Bembo seems to love the character, as he's shared a lot of fan art he created of Orbsman exploring different digital landscapes. Number 7, it's pretty obvious that Spootsie's, the fast food place that pays minimum wage, is a parody of McDonald's, with its logo using nearly the same colors and the uniforms looking almost identical to McDonald's employees. Some fans have even taken real photos of McDonald's restaurants and imagined the characters in that setting. Number 8, it's believed that the theme of Kane's adventure won't be the same for all the characters in the circus. In the preview, he says not to forget about working for minimum wage, and it's not just McDonald's or Spootsie's in this case that pays minimum wage, but plenty of other jobs as well. So fans are speculating that the digital gig might not just be at Spootsie's, and that we could see all the characters in the digital gig might not just be at Spootsie's, and that we could see all the characters in different job situations. Number 9, while many of the teasers in these fun facts come from statements made by Gooseworks, it's important to remember we can't always take what she says at face value. For example, she once claimed that Gangle could walk on water like Jesus during a full moon, only to later clarify it was canon in the comics, and eventually
There's comics?
it was a total lie. So unfortunately,
What?
on water like Jesus during a full moon, only to later clarify it was canon in the
What? Draw Jax with nail polish and makeup. She only has that ability in the comics continuity.
and eventually admitted it was a total
What
lie.
else did you lie about? Gango being able to walk on water during a full moon? What the frick? Oh my gosh. She's taking a mic. Her thing is like Zubul, display pic. You what? That there's a full moon and I walk. Oh, you forgot that there's whatever a full moon and I walk on water when the full moon is out. Is out.
Number 10. One teaser that doesn't seem like a joke is that Gooseworks mentioned there's a whole episode dedicated to whether Gangle will be allowed to wear her comedy mask for more than just a few minutes. And since this episode centers on Gangle, the plot may very well revolve around her comedy mask, either be the final boss or something pretty close to it. Number 11. There's speculation that Orbsman won't be the only orb-based NPC we'll see in the episode. In one of the glitch images the animators often share, they showed Kain standing next to what seems to be a bonus version of Orbsman. It could be another NPC or simply a glitch in Orbsman's model, but fans are excited to find out. Number 12. One thing we're unsure about, whether it's canon or just Gooseworks' sense of humor, is her statement that Gangle died in episode 1. It's a bit ironic since we didn't
You say what?
Is her statement that
Is Gango going to let go of her trauma as an independent woman? No, she dies in episode 1.
died in episode
What?
1. It's a bit ironic since we didn't see that happen in the first episode, but when asked why she was dead, Gooseworld responded that we'll have to wait and see, so this episode might finally confirm whether Gangle is still alive. Number 13. The fact that Gangle loves to draw was introduced by the creator, who also specified that she particularly enjoys drawing anime. This detail has been reinforced in the last 2 episodes,
Yay, anime.
Gangle showing a drawing of Kaufmo and sketching in her notebook while everyone else hangs out in the tent. So we can expect this trait to be explored further, maybe even showing us more of her drawings. Number 14. One thing we didn't expect to see this early in the series is Jax going through a rough patch, which is quite the contrast from episode 1, where he was taking advantage of his fellow characters. He's gone from not having a big action-packed adventure, which he usually loves, to being gagged for half the episode. It looks like things won't be getting better for him in episode 4 either, where he'll likely be stuck working at Spotsy's. Fans are starting to think this string of bad luck might culminate in episode 6, where Jax is expected to be the main character, and we could see him get revenge for everything he's had to endure. Number 15. It's been confirmed that Gangle only has 2 masks, just like in Tether, the comedy and tragedy mask. This rules out theories about an unrevealed mask, so for now at least there's no evil side to Gangle. Number 16. The theory that episode 4 will revolve around Spotsy's is still the most popular one. However, we can't ignore the other settings shown in the Wake Up Pomni teaser, a partially completed baseball stadium. The stadium's basic structure was visible, but the finishing touches were missing, forcing Kane to hide it as a work in progress. This suggests it wasn't ready at the time. There's still a chance that they
I love he's looking backwards, man.
in episode 4. Number 17. Another clue about where the plot might go comes from a question a fan asked the creator. Does Gangle pretend to be happy, or is she genuinely complaining? And why? The creator responded with an image of a happy puppy, leaving room for interpretation.
Wait, what?
A fan asked the
I was also wondering why Gangle pretends to be happy, or SMH, and what happened to her. Would there be an episode for that?
creator. Does Gangle pretend to be happy, or
Great
is she
Isaac.
genuinely complaining? And why? The creator responded with an image of a happy puppy, leaving room for interpretation. Number 18. We know Gangle only with an image of a happy puppy, leaving room for interpretation. Number 18.
Yep.
We know Gangle only has 2 masks, but many fans have wondered, is there something beneath her mask? The creator fueled this speculation when asked what's under the tragedy mask, and she simply responded with the cursed idol. While this seems like part of her quirky humor, it still leaves the possibility open that we might see something sinister beneath Gangle's mask. Number 19. While this episode focuses on Gangle, the other circus members will also make appearances, especially Sue. Despite being mostly absent in the first 2 episodes, the creator still leaves the possibility open that we might see something sinister beneath Gangle's mask. Number 19. While this episode focuses on Gangle, the other circus members will also make appearances, especially Zubul. Despite being mostly absent in the first 2 episodes, the creator has promised Zubul will have more screen time in the upcoming episodes, so it's likely we're just beginning to get to know Zubul. Number 20. If the Netflix leak is true and episode 4 does come out in December, it would mark a huge leap in the production speed, with just over 2 months between episodes 3 and 4. This is much faster compared to the nearly 5-month gap between episodes 1 and 2. It's possible Glitch worked ahead to wrap up the year with a new episode, but we might not see this pace sustained unless they've optimized production enough to release episodes more quickly. Number 21. One fact about Gangle that often gets overlooked is her age. According to the creator, she's 26, making her older than Pomni, Jax, and Zubul. This is particularly interesting because Gangle behaves like a teenager, obsessed with anime and drawing, which has led to theories that something happened to her, keeping her stuck in this phase.
Oi. Teen, yo, all the people in their 20s obsessed with anime, pleb. I mean, Wiz.
This is particularly interesting because Gangle behaves like a teenager, obsessed
just loves art.
Which has led to theories that something happened to her, keeping her stuck in this phase and dependent on her masks. Number 22. The last line teased by the creator was, "What kind of mother do you think I am?" This has sparked a ton of theories. The creator was, "What kind of mother?"
It was a random line from episode 4. Ah, that's cool. That's cool she did that. Huh.
Do you think I am? This has sparked a ton of theories about who might say it. Some believe it could be Ragata, since she has a caregiver role within the group, while others think it might foreshadow the return of the Glowing Queen, the mother of all glowings. There's even a chance that Kane could say it, seeing himself as the mother of the NPCs. Number 23. It's believed that a hidden teaser for episode 4 is the clip showing a tiny Pomni eating a burger in a restaurant right before everything explodes. This was part of an
Wait, what?
Number 23. It's believed that a hidden teaser for episode 4 is the clip showing a tiny Pomni eating a burger in a restaurant right before everything explodes. This was part of an ad introducing the mini character figurines, but the setting, despite being inspired by a real McDonald's, looks completely modeled in 3D, leading fans to think it's part of Spootsies. Number 24. When asked if Gangle would become important or just complain whenever she's on screen, the creator clarified that the show aims to explore the characters on a much deeper level. This suggests that Gangle's backstory will reveal a lot about her current behavior. Number 25. It's been made clear that what happens in the Digital Circus promos isn't canon to the series, so things like Pomni being aware of all the content made with her image on the internet haven't actually happened outside of the ads. Still, some believe that hints about future episodes might be hidden in the promos. Orbsman had his moment in these commercials, where he appeared on those haven't actually happened. Things like Pomni being aware of all the content made with her image on the internet haven't actually happened outside of the ads. Still, some believe that hints about future episodes might be hidden in the promos. Orbsman had his moment in these commercials, where he appeared on the label of the shampoo Pomni had to read, which had a bizarre bone marrow explosion theme and doubled as an insect repellent. This led to the theory that Orbsman is made of bubbles. Number 26. The creator has shared a lot of fun facts about Gangle, but she's now said that she's given out all the non-spoiler details for now. She promised that
Alas, I've given you all the fun facts that aren't spoiled about her. Just know that everything you need to know will be provided.
we'll learn everything we need to know about Gangle eventually, and many fans are hoping that episode 4 will be the big reveal. Number 27. We know that Zubul has body image issues and has been constantly swapping out her parts since arriving at the circus. That's why she appears with a different design in each episode. The creator has admitted that her favorite Zubul look will appear in episode 4, so this outfit might be even more radical than her previous ones. Number 28. There's a wild theory that Gangle might use her screen time to get revenge on Jax for all the mean things he's done to her. While this would be out of character for Gangle, it could happen if something truly sinister lies beneath her sadness mask. Number 29. The creator mentioned that Gangle would be the first to get carsick on a road trip. This condition, known as motion sickness, is often linked to emotional factors, like a hidden fear of suffering a deep loss, such as the death of someone close. This feeling is common in people who struggle to live in the moment and enjoy the present. This seems to fit Gangle, who always appears anxious and can hold on to her comedy mask for long. Ironically, she's the one who ends up driving the trailer. Number 30. After Kinger's big role in episode 3, many believe he won't have much screen time in this next adventure, with a theory that he'll soon begin to withdraw more and more. He might start staying in his pillow fort on the path to fully isolating himself. Number 31. Zoriak, one of the lead animators at Glitch for the Amazing Digital Circus, recently shared with fans that he's been promoted to senior animator. While the role doesn't change much in terms of his duties, it does come with a salary bump and serves as a great indicator that the budget for the series continues to grow thanks to all the support it's getting. Number 32. Gooseworks mentioned that Gangle would just let herself be hung up like a ribbon to decorate a Christmas tree and wouldn't do anything to stop it. Interestingly, Glitch shared promotional images of the group celebrating Christmas, and while
that's
Gangle
actually a
is
cool
part of the decorations,
tree.
Some fans believe this episode might take place during the holiday season, and we might see a similar scenario play out. Number 33. Not much is known about what will happen with Ragatha in this episode. Some speculate that if this is indeed the minimum wage adventure, her role might involve knives or some other sharp object that ends up injuring her, something that seems to happen to Ragatha a lot. Number 34. Even though we've seen Gangle's comedy mask fall and break without harming her, Gooseworks has stated that if Gangle were to lose her head entirely, she'd feel a lot of pain. This confirms that her face isn't detached from her body the way Kinger's eyes are, so watching her lose both masks in the episode could be a tough sight. Number 35. The theory that Gangle had a mask other than the comedy one originated from a promotional image Glitch shared, showing Gangle in what looked like a bathroom with several broken masks hanging around. However, the creator confirmed that no other mask exists, and it was just a reference for the ad. Number 36. Although it's been confirmed that Jax, Gangle, Zubul, Kinger, Ragatha, and Pomni are all human souls trapped in the simulation, the theory that Jax might actually be an NPC is one of the most popular in the community. Fans are hoping this episode will shed more light on Jax and whether he has any real human emotions or if his time at Spotsy's will just be what you'd expect from a regular NPC. Number 37. Gooseworks has said that Gangle's drawing style falls somewhere between good anime art and cringe-worthy doodles. This doesn't seem entirely accurate though, as her drawing of Kaufmo doesn't look very anime-inspired, but we'll likely see more of her art in this episode, which might clarify things. Number 38. Gooseworks has confirmed that Jax picks on Gangle because she's the easiest to mess with, implying that her submissiveness isn't limited to just Jax. This opens the door for the possibility that in this episode we'll see others take advantage of Gangle to make her do their minimum wage job tasks. Number 39. Fan art created by Bembo Davis about his character Orbsman has led to theories that something canon might be revealed about him. One of the most interesting fan creations shows Orbsman at level 100 with wings, thunder, and an angelic aura, suggesting that Orbsman could have multiple forms. Number 40. One of the most intriguing secrets about Gangle was hinted at by Jax. To get her to do his bidding, Jax threatened to reveal something to Ragatha about her figures. This has led to speculation that Gangle has a collection of figures, possibly even ones of all the circus members. Number 41. It appears that all the characters will curse at some point during the series, except for Jax and Gangle. This suggests that these two characters won't lose their cool or go on a cursing spree, confirming that we won't see Gangle make a mistake like Kinger, who blurted out his first curse when he misplaced his mask. Number 42. It seems Gangle sleeps with a full body pillow, and the creator specified that the pillow has a...
They say what? With any characters, blah blah blah, body pillows with to sleep with? Not with any character, Annie, just blank. Gangle definitely had one with a character. Had one, okay.
Some believe it's an anime character, but others suspect the character on the pillow is actually from the Digital Circus, possibly Ragatha, which would tie into the theory about Gangle's collection of figures.
Oh wow.
The theory that the minimum wage adventure doesn't only take place at Spotsy's, but also in a mall with very similar jobs, opens the door for the possibility that the promotional image of Zubul shopping while the rest of the circus members spy on her would become canon. Number 44. While it seems unlikely that Gangle will take revenge on Jax, when the creator was asked about it, she responded with her classic, "You'll have to wait and see," leaving the door open for this to actually happen. So the dream of seeing Gangle get back at Jax could become a reality in an upcoming episode. Number 45. It's expected that the fact Gangle has seen One Piece and that her favorite character is
Woo! Really, Chopper though? She did, and her favorite character is Chopper, for fake's sake. Chopper! Whatever. Number 1. Does Gangle watch One Piece? Best question ever asked about any of them, or anything about this, to be honest. 2. If yes, who is her favorite character? Bruh. Chopper though, oh my gosh.
One Piece and that her favorite character is Chopper will be mentioned in the episode. However, since
What?
that's a fun fact shared by Gooseworks, there's a chance it was just another one of her jokes. Number 46. Episode 3 gave us a glimpse into the true significance of Kane. When he experienced a minor logic glitch and couldn't accept that he's not great at creating adventures, the entire circus tent began malfunctioning. Because of this, many expect Kane to showcase more of his abilities as the master of the simulation, further revealing the kind of foe the circus members would have to confront if they ever hope to escape. Number 47. We all know that Jax and Gangle are inspired by Popey the performer and Kedamono, respectively. However, the creator has clarified that the similarities between
Jax and who?
never hope to escape. Number 47. We all know that Jax and Gangle are inspired by Popey the performer
Right.
and Kedamono, respectively. However, the creator has clarified that the similarities between Gangle and Kedamono are only skin deep. Even though Gangle suffers at the hands of Jax like Kedamono does with Popey, their characters are fundamentally different, and episode 4 will make that distinction clearer. Number 48. One of the wildest theories about this episode is that we'll finally see Gangle's second form, a concept Gooseworks shared where Gangle swaps faces and a pair of human hands appear at the ends of her arms. But this seems like a long shot for becoming canon. Number 49. The picture showing Pomni eating a burger in a place that looks a lot like Spootsy's has sparked speculation among fans. They think it might be hiding how Kane plans to wrap up the adventure, especially since the video ends with a big explosion. It's possible that to keep up the chaotic and wild nature of his adventures, Kane will end things with an over-the-top, senseless burst of violence. Number 50. Gangle's favorite anime
Wow.
is Daio, which follows
Wow.
the chaotic and wild
You
nature
just
of his
nuke the whole
adventures.
ass
Kane will
map.
end things with an over-the-top, over-the-top, senseless burst of violence. Number 50, Gangle's favorite anime is Azumanga Daioh, which follows the everyday lives of 6 Japanese high school girls. This has led fans to believe that Gangle's dream adventure would take place in a school, allowing her to live out a similar slice of life scenario. Number 50 plus 1.
I don't know if I finished that.
Marked the first anniversary of the show's release in 2023.
Wait, what?
October 13th marked the
Is
first
it?
anniversary of the show's release in 2023, which took everyone by surprise with one of the most viral pilot episodes in YouTube history. Fans created hundreds of commemorative fan arts for the first year, and while this doesn't directly tie into episode 4, the faster episode production pace could mean the series will wrap up just after celebrating its second anniversary. Number 50 plus 2. In a last-minute reveal, a promotional ad for exclusive products coming to pop-up shops in Japan confirmed that
Dude, look at them in the Mackey's clothes. My gosh, that's just rough.
Promotional ad for exclusive products coming to pop-up shops in Japan confirmed that the Spotsy's adventure will be the same for everyone, with each character doing their digital gig at the fast food joint. But the most intriguing part is that, unlike the others, Gangle is dressed as a manager. She also has an odd expression on her face, with one eye a different color from the other, suggesting we might see a side of Gangle we've never seen before, as she takes on a leadership role. I'm going in a boy.
I'm going in a what?
A leadership role. Might see a side of Gangle we've never seen before, as she takes on a leadership role. I'm going in a boy.
Hold up, wait a minute. You really did reach 50. Bro, I thought I was on like 27. It was literally in the Axe bubble. It was literally in the Axe bubble line. It's gonna be bubble saying it. Oh. 118. This is the only setting from the teaser we haven't seen yet. Unfinished stadium. Am I a joke to you? Psst. Yeah, but
this is the only setting from that teaser we haven't seen yet, so chances are high that it will play out. Number 4.
yeah, but do I know about the stadium? I don't know. Yep, Gangu is a certified weeb, and I can already picture with what the figurine thing is all about. I'm so excited for this episode, especially because Gangu is my favorite character. If this 4th episode is about Gangu, we need to see the figurine thing. Bruh. 10-second screen time. So what's going on in Japan kind of wrecks all the theories. Got videos about that coming soon. Athena, I don't know what that is. It was literally in the... yeah. To be honest, my personal thought is that the mother line would come from a customer. Yeah. I straight up said NPC. People think it's weird that Jax looks at the camera and addresses the audience, but honestly, if something weird like getting stuck in a game would happen to me, I would think I was in a show too. He created orbs, man. What?
Communicate is still a mystery. Bembo seems to love the
Who
character,
created
as his shared a lot
whatever.
of fan art he created of Orbsman exploring different digital landscapes. Number 7. It's pretty obvious
Right.
that Spootsy's, the fast food place that pays minimum wage, is
Spootsy's.
a parody of McDonald's, with its logo using nearly the same colors and the uniforms looking almost identical to McDonald's employees.
Yeah, Athena, I don't know that writing, sorry. I don't know what you're saying. Well, hi. Hi, Athena.
Some fans have even
People think it's weird that Jax looks at yeah, I read that. I saw that Android 18 PNG. Now what's my reward? I saw it as well, but no, I missed a comment. That's a comment. Oh, there it is. I saw it as well. I was like, wow, good one. I bet the 5th episode is about Ragatha. Well, they already set it out. They already told the internet. What the F is that thumbnail, man? What was the thumbnail? It's Russian? Is it? I don't know. I don't know Russian writing. I've seen it before, but I don't know how to read it. Thanks for confirming. It's Russian. Where is the fan art from the thumbnail? From Wizzy Videos and what? They probably meant December 2025. And one more video then. Release date of episode 4. Pin me if I trick you. Zubul and Goose use they them. Thanks for telling me, Athena. Ah. There was one here that caught my oh yes, Kingdom made the digital. There it is. Well, hold up, maybe the wife one is better. The Amazing Circus. Rape the Amazing Circus. Oh no. Nah, I'm not watching that. 10 million cracks. What? Oh, cracks or something. Economy. Oh, the circus. Okay, that's a better one. I'll put your comments in Google Translate later. No worries, no worries. Did I not watch this? Nah, sure, I'm sure I did.
There is no escape.
Oh, totally.
Ever.
Right?
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that'll be theorizing day after day after day
Yep.
after day after day, and we don't know why. Let's talk about the Amazing Digital Circus, shall we?
You, my friend, stumbled into an incredible world of wonders where anything can happen except for swearing.
Oh my god.
In case you aren't caught up with this one, this is the latest series from the creative geniuses over at Glitch Productions. This one was written
Now they've got
and
like
directed by
17 million
talented
subs.
artists who also composed music for both Has-Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss. And their creativity and experience really created the digital world in the weird backrooms office area in a way that's very similar to how a game developer would create world spaces. Plus, when Poppy first enters the world, she says this.
I put on some weird headset and now I'm here.
Is this video old? It was also recovered in the past as well. But this
I am
was
sure
beyond just
she
the
is.
tech that's used in the series. Many of the characters and iconography from the show are very reminiscent of popular characters and ideas from the late 90s.
Yeah, I know. Episode 3 just dropped, and you're probably wondering, how's this guy gonna pull off 50 facts about episode 4? Well, even if it doesn't seem like it, thanks to Japan, as we'll see later, there's a ton of leaks and cool stuff to talk about, not to mention some pretty spot-on theories. So buckle up, because today we're diving into 50 facts before episode 4 drops, starting with...
Bro, I think I've lost the video now. OMG. Yeah, where is it? There it is. Cool.
So, I have a complicated relationship with the Amazing Digital Circus. When the first episode came out, I loved it, and I started covering it. Second episode came out, wasn't fond of it. So, I have a complicated relationship with the Amazing Digital Circus. When the first episode came out, I loved it, and I started covering it. Second episode came out, wasn't fond of it, decided to stop covering it. And episode 3 has brought me back around again. But today isn't about what I thought
Two
about
was
the
awesome.
episode or the show. It's
Two was
about what the
absolutely
show
awesome.
and episode told us about what the characters are going through. See, the Amazing Digital Circus has been quite blunt about how the human-turned-cartoon characters are trapped inside of it, how they fear abstraction, how they're on the brink of going mad. But this was the first episode where we went a little deeper into that, past the skin into the meat of the situation, at least for a couple of the characters. So let's start at the new episode, and let's start with Kinger. Episode 3 involves the gang's adventures in a haunted mansion. Pomni and Kinger are separated into an extra scary version of the house, where they must play through an indie horror game involving jump scares,
Indie horror game.
accurate angels, and possession.
Did she just say inaccurate?
Between them and jump scares, biblically accurate angels,
Or
and
biblically
possession. And the only
accurate
thing
angels.
between them and a very bad time is a singular shotgun, and it's in Kinger's hands. At first, everything's pretty on brand. Kinger's being his usual.
That was so scary.
Self and Pomni's
That's
anxious.
insanely scary,
The
man.
first real sign that something deeper is happening, though, is shortly into the ordeal when Kinger is jump scared by a disembodied head. It stretches its mouth wide open, and eyes start bubbling in the darkness inside. Kinger, looking hypnotized, says,
Beautiful, honey.
"This seems like a one-off joke as Kinger goes back to acting like normal, but this is the point when things start to shift. Though it's not until he shoots an angel and they end up in hell that we actually get context. Also, Pomni gets possessed, but they're in hell, that's expected. Didn't expect it to be so green, though. Throughout their descent, Kinger is acting a little more lucid, which culminates in a moment where the two are resting, with Pomni upset and crying, and Kinger opens up to her. He reveals that he has had trouble remembering, but that when he's in the dark, he can remember his wife and when she abstracted. And yes, Kinger had a wife. We don't get to see her unabstracted or hear her name, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she was likely Queenie, a queen chess piece that Gooseworks gave us the name of. Kinger tells us a little bit about her. She was funny, creative, and liked bugs and entomology. One of the popular headcanons circulating is that Kinger was focused on bugs because he used to be a bug tester, but here it reveals that he was actually focused on them because she liked them. He got into her hobby because of her. Though funny enough, Kinger does throw in
7 years of computer science for this, huh?
a little before that. So, bug tester headcanon is actually still on the table,
True.
just in a different way. But regardless of all of that, Kinger lost his wife to abstraction. Soothed by the darkness of the fort, Kinger was able to approach and touch her, and notably, unlike Kaufmo, who caused Ragatha, Pomni, and the NPCs to glitch out just by touching them, Kinger did not. And then she
Oh yeah, you're right.
and notably, unlike
Good point.
Kaufmo, who caused Ragatha, Pomni, and the NPCs to glitch out just by touching them,
Yeah.
Kinger did not. And then she was taken to the cellar.
I didn't even notice
Despite
that.
the flip-flops in memory, Kinger is somehow able to remember and hold on to that one. But there are some splotchy spots as well, such as Kinger says that he doesn't remember how she abstracted.
Yes, you said
I
that.
wonder if it was because it was so long ago, or if it was also because of this memory issue. The scarier part is, there is a possibility that she abstracted without warning. Though that's only going off the possibility that Kinger doesn't remember the events leading up to it because
Right.
they were too subtle. While the circus performers have to fear abstraction, from Kafo's example, there seems to be some warning. That a full mental collapse leads them to going insane and abstracting. And it could
He was a
that
great
Kinger
artist.
simply doesn't remember the decline. But what if that's not the case? I've thought about it before and I thought maybe that abstraction could be something in the code of the digital circus getting rid of or simplifying parts it cannot use, a la overly simplified version of a real computer abstracting data. That Kinger's wife was deemed unnecessary for one reason or another and abstracted, and that is why she was able to be calmed down because she wasn't totally insane. But that's
You
all
what?
speculation.
You what?
Version of a real computer abstracting data. That Kinger's wife was deemed unnecessary for one reason or another and abstracted, and that is why she was able to be calmed down because she wasn't totally insane. But that's all speculation, and honestly, even if she just did go insane, it doesn't really take away from the situation Kinger is in, losing his wife to this cold, dark basement. Kinger, in the back of his mind, must know that if he abstracts, he'll be down there with her. Maybe that's why he's gone so long without abstracting, because he hasn't feared it enough to go completely crazy.
Oh,
But because he hasn't,
good point.
he is forced to sit up here and wait until the eventual, whatever it is. Either way, Kinger and
How about
Mommy
TV?
bond over this moment, and Kinger forewarns her to hold on to those she cares deeply about. Which leads to her later on telling Ragatha that she appreciates her. Aww. And
No.
Kinger returns to his fort and his fugue. But that's not the end. Because this episode isn't just an expose on Kinger, we also finally get to see a little more on Zubul, who has pretty much been absent in both episodes before this. Zubul, refusing to go on the adventure, is confronted by Kane, who gives an impromptu therapy session. There we get to hear about their troubles with their body. It doesn't feel comfortable, and despite having a box of parts to switch out, they haven't found any that feel right. Something that was pretty much foreshadowed in the comments Gooseworks has said about Zubul leading up to this moment. It's pretty clear that Zubul has some form of body dysmorphia.
Right.
What isn't clear is if this was an issue that they brought with them into the circus, like me, or
Yeah.
if this is just this body in particular that
Yeah.
they aren't comfortable with.
Yeah.
Which, let's be frank, would be understandable as Zubul's body is awful. It falls apart all the
Damn.
time, their walk cycle is painful, their run cycle is awkward. But I think the point here is that it's not just how dysfunctional the body is. The thing that is a little surprising is that apparently Zubul actually approached Kane about this problem at some point, and his solution was the box of parts. Admittedly, I was under the impression that Kane was so flighty that he was virtually impossible to get a one-on-one with. But this conversation happened, and Kane took the most literal avenue of fixing it as possible, and then deemed it fixed. But it isn't fixed. Zubul isn't happy. Because of that, they refrain from adventuring. They try to explain it to Kane, and they are pretty bluntly honest to Kane, but it just isn't working. Now, that isn't to say that it doesn't get through to Kane. This is the first time we've...
Okay, Athena, I don't know if you're still there, but I just don't know nothing Russian. The only thing Russian I know is Putin. Yeah. That's the only thing. No, nothing about the language.
Manic Pixie
Nothing else.
here actually has some deeper layers. Talking to him is like talking to an empty rubber room, but he seems to be trying. That is, trying in his literal, lacking way of understanding. Unless he's a good actor, the problem here truly seems to be that Kane just doesn't understand. Despite the colorful, crazy circus, Kane's way of thinking is very direct and literal. Ironically, he can't understand abstract thoughts. Pomni asks for an exit, so he thinks, I would build an exit, but I don't know what I would put out there. A literal exit, not a way out. Zubul wants a body that's comfortable, so Kane gives them a box of parts to try to find the one that fits right, unable to understand that it's not just the parts. And this explains a lot of what Kane does and how he acts. He is surface level, goofy, and cartoony, but he doesn't understand nuance. And that's why the performers are struggling, because Kane simply cannot rationalize that the 24/7 tune treatment is wearing at them.
The what?
Kane also cannot understand how abstraction and the fear of it affects them. He understands that they fear people who have been abstracted, surface level, but he cannot understand their fear of abstracting. But Kane is not as dumb or oblivious as he seems. For when Zubul tells him that, everybody hates your adventures, Kane,
Good point.
he denies it at first before it slowly sinks in, and Kane has his Pomni breakdown TM moment before he's getting snapped out of it by Zubul distracting him. Makes you wonder if that's why Kane can't focus on one thing for too long, because he is capable of processing information, and when he does, and when he starts to become upset, the circus destabilizes. The whole thing gets flickery and glitchy. He recovers fast, but only because he forgets. And yes, Kane has memory issues like Kinger. We didn't really pick up on it before because Kane is so flighty most of the time.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell if it was an actual memory thing or his ADHD kicking in. But here he expressly says that he cannot remember things they have talked about. And this, along with a lack of understanding, also explains why after all these years he's never picked up a hint about what's going on at the circus. It's not because he doesn't care. It's because A, he doesn't get it, and B, when he does, he can't remember it.
I love his mouth, man. It's
You heard of
insane.
status quo
The
is
design
God.
is
That's a
awesome.
term where in a TV show things will always revert back to the status quo at the end of the episode.
Wait, what?
Wearing a TV. Remember it.
Right.
Have you heard of status quo is God? That's a term
Status
where
quo
in a
is God.
TV show things will always revert back to the status quo at the end of the episode. Like in Pokemon, where Team
Yeah.
Rocket occasionally teams up with Ash, but they'd always become enemies again at the end. Or Squidward from SpongeBob. Occasionally he gets wins, but then goes back to being miserable by the next episode.
Right.
The status quo is God, and that God's name is Cain. And the only way anything changes significantly is if someone ends up abstracting and he can't play with them anymore. Also,
Wait, what?
That God's name is Cain. And the only way anything changes significantly is if someone ends up abstracting and he can't play with them anymore. Also, towards the end of the episode, there's a joke about Cain and Zubul switching roles of therapist and patient. I've seen this joke before. Nothing too surprising. Though maybe I'm thinking too deeply into it, but Cain's focus is interesting. He's questioning his theming on adventures, and it makes you wonder if it's because he can't think of anything but adventures, or if he's actually still bothered by what Zubul said. Knowing Cain, he will react to this by trying desperately harder on adventures, which could lead to some terrifying results because, like I said, he's unable to read between the lines. If they hate the adventures, it's because the adventures are bad, not because they're trapped in circus purgatory, being forced to perform against their will.
Yeah.
In a way, Cain is almost as much of a prisoner as the rest of them are. He seems like the one keeping them captive, but he's really not. He simply doesn't know how to exist in any other way. He says it himself. Adventuring and making adventures is his art. Or more importantly, it's the only thing that he does, the only thing that he knows how to do. And if he's bad at that, there's nothing else. So, I think that covers most of the real neat stuff in this episode. We got a greater look into how Kinger, Zubul, and Cain feel and function, and it wasn't just focused on abstraction. Kinger's pain comes from abstraction, but not because of the abstraction itself, but the pain of losing his loved one. It's not him fearing losing control. It's him fearing losing someone else. All while he's losing his memories regularly. Cain struggles and is possibly incapable of understanding these complex feelings, and Zubul dislikes their body but can't find a compatible, comfortable middle ground.
Right.
So maybe now you see why I felt so compelled to take a deeper look. I'm not sure if I'm going to cover the whole series, but I wanted to unload some thoughts, and here we are. I hope you got something out of this, and thank you for watching.
I've already been on that. I would have shown. I feel that the therapist switch gag can also be read as Cain taking things too literal because he specifically wondered why the Wild West is a real direction, which can only be read as thematic direction for a previous adventure he wasn't proud of, or it's wordplay and he is unsure if the Wild West is a literal cardinal direction. Right? I'm certain Cain is doing the best he absolutely can, trying to keep the crew happy by sending them on those adventures, keeping them safe from the abstraction. Yes, by putting them in the basement, alright. Keeps them from adventuring out of the void and possibly keeping them from falling into potential dev room under the circus ground world. Dev room, wow. How funny that the abstract Cain cannot comprehend are the monsters that must be locked away. Right. King was definitely MVP. I always knew he was good. Oh, like a rubber room with rats, and rats make him crazy. Oh, Queenie actually came from Gooseworks. I thought it was just one spread to the fandom. Yeah, same. I like how Kane's last joke in the therapy session is about the Wild West does infer that he can reach a level of abstract thinking, but he is just not quite there yet. Huh. I am feeling for one more. Just one more. But it needs to be better than this one. Wait, Digital Circus have done it again. What have they done again? Alright, for reals, because I don't see no other good ones, I might just watch this one. Because I don't see nothing else good. But there is this, but licensed game, you know.
Like usual, during episode 3 of the Amazing Digital Circus, there's a bunch of secrets and Easter eggs hidden in the background that you might have missed. In this video, I'll go through all the ones I spotted. So right off the bat, at the start, we see the gang testing how long they can breathe for and how it impacts their body. This ends up being relevant later in the episode. However, in the background, we see Gangle drawing on a notepad. This means that Gangle loves drawing as well as figure collecting, as we found out in episode 2.
Who would miss that?
We can see what she's drawing.
Sick.
It's a little hard to make it out.
That's sick. She was literally drawing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Love Gango now. Love it.
Kane ends up using her notepad and pencil later when giving therapy.
Really? I didn't even notice that.
Kane ends up using her notepad and pencil later when giving therapy to Zubul. Jack says that Zubul turns straight.
Hers is bigger. No, but it's the same one. It's the exact same one. It's just hers is bigger.
Ends up using her notepad and pencil later when giving therapy to Zubul.
That's cool. I like that.
Zubul turns straight. She immediately gets annoyed and corrects him, but gives up. So basically, Zubul isn't straight. Jax breaks the fourth wall and
Zubul is a what?
later when giving therapy to Zubul. Jack says that Zubul turns straight. She immediately gets annoyed and corrects him, but gives up. So basically, Zubul isn't straight. Jax breaks the fourth wall and mentions the viewers. For a brief second, while Kane explains the lore of the Mildenhall mansion, we see it flash with lightning, and the mansion looks scarier with a set of teeth. At least to me, this
That's sick.
we see it flash with lightning.
Oh, I like this. I love this one. I love this type of stuff. That's great. That's actually fantastic.
And the mansion looks scarier with a set of teeth. At least to me, this feels like a pretty clear reference to the 2006 animated classic Monster House.
I've never heard of that.
When Bubble speaks, it's reversed. I'll show you what it sounds like if it's played backwards.
Yeah, someone is.
When Bubble speaks, it's reversed. I'll show you what it sounds like if it's played backwards.
I can't wait for all the children in the audience to get horrible nightmares from the monster.
Since Bubble is voiced by
Get horrible nightmares from the monster.
His face.
Since Bubble Bubble is voiced by Gooseworks, this is basically Goose herself talking.
Raw, is it? I never knew she's in it. Oh, that is actually, that's even better, man. I love it. That is awesome. The Bubble is the actual great. Oh my gosh. That's sick.
Since Bubble is voiced by Gooseworks, this is basically Goose herself talking, which is pretty hilarious.
Yes.
She's definitely right. Inside the
Yep.
mansion, we meet an NPC guide called Ghostly.
Trust me, I was scared to bits from this episode, and I'm not. Well,
I'll show you
yeah.
what it sounds like if it's played backwards.
I can't wait for all the children in the audience to get horrible nightmares from a monster.
That angel, man. That was insane. This episode.
Talking, which is pretty hilarious, and she's definitely right. Inside
Yep.
the mansion, we meet an NPC guide called Ghostly. Jax immediately kills Ghostly by sucking him up with a hoover that he found. So firstly, this is why the rest of the mission is so difficult and scary. Ghostly was meant to help guide Kinger and Pomni throughout the level. Jax killed him and they were left on their own, making it much scarier. This is also a pretty obvious reference to Ghostbusters and Luigi's Mansion. Inside the mansion, Pomni and Kinger enter a room with creepy wall decorations resembling the cast. Some of these decorations are references. Jax's head resembles the body mask from the 2001 sci-fi thriller movie Donnie Darko. Pomni and Kinger's heads resemble some of the faces from Gooseworks' Blue.
Bro, what the frick is this? What's Humber? What's Nage? Dorcelessness? Harfam? Punish? Trantiveness? Tiluge Loric? What in the... Yo! I'm glad I went on this video.
Decorations are references. Jax's head resembles the body mask from the 2001 sci-fi thriller movie Donnie Darko. Pomni and Kinger's heads resemble some of the faces from Gooseworks' Blue Channel's Dallison video. And Gaggle's mask resembles Ghostface from the Scream series. On the walls we see a painting which showcases what Mrs. Mildenhall looked like when she was alive. We find out how Kinger's wife Queenie abstracted, and this is likely what caused Kinger to go insane. We find out that abstracted creatures largely look similar and calm down when in darkness. Kinger also reveals that he studied computer science for 7 years. While Pomni and Kinger go through the Hall of the Damned, we see the bit at the start where they practice their breathing was a good idea. So that's everything I noticed while watching the episode. Was there anything I missed? Did you spot these secrets while watching? Let me know down below.
You get so like... I love only Jax on screen, but I'm not gonna use my time on that. Definite last one. This one's boring.
I hope this adventure doesn't end up being another horrible nightmare.
Well, they did it again. Digital Circus, as far as I'm concerned, is currently the king of animation right now. And I don't think that takes much of a stretch of the imagination.
On YouTube.
Indie animation is demonstrably on top of the world at a time where every mainline studio is in hot water for just completely gutting out their production teams. I've mentioned such scandals repeatedly.
What?
I've mentioned such scandals repeatedly as of late, but since the last time we were talking about it, just a few days ago, there's another one, as Paramount is being sued by ex-workers over mass layoffs as well. But whilst there are struggles in the business for the bigwigs, on the indie side of things, it is clear that they are taking things in their stride. Being given the opportunity to truly flourish and keeping their creative control as well, Digital Circus is now being produced over on Netflix, and they've just released the 3rd episode of their 6-part series, and what do you know, it's pretty damn good. Whilst at the same of their 6-part series, and what do you know, it's pretty damn good. Whilst at the same time, there are already all sorts of other Halloween specials going on, like The Bad Guys getting a Halloween one. This is an example of a way superior end product that naturally has the entire wind of the internet in its sails still. Now, for some reason, we completely skipped the 2nd episode when it came to actually making a video about it, but we certainly covered all sorts of details and theories regarding the 1st episode. And what's particularly nice in this 3rd installment is actually a lot of the basic core ideas being hinted at in the 1st episode are starting to come into fruition now. Now, apparently this 3rd episode was teased as being the funniest episode yet, and I'll be honest, I kind of disagree on that, but it's certainly one of the most emotional. As we come into
Yeah,
season
episode 1's funny.
3 is going to be a character study for 1 to 2 characters each episode, and this episode it was very much all about Kinga and Zubul. It wasn't so much high on action like the first episode, or extra
Second.
video gamey like the second. This was just a straight to the bones, classic horror episode where our characters could flourish and show off a little what they do. All the while, the actual visuals and quality of the animation is just top notch. With the lighting effects and texturing and all sorts of these shots being just immaculate. It really is a super high quality show that no wonder Netflix decided to pick it up. It just looks professional, because it is. Anyone can wing it with enough craftsmanship. Now, in regards to how the narrative actually laid itself out, it really was just a freak of the week kind of episode in regards to the plotline. The ensemble cast decided to split into 3, with Kate and Zubul staying back at home in the circus to do some therapy. The girls getting their own nice version of the haunted house that we barely get to see, so everyone else gets the screen time. And then Pomni and Kinga being down in the depths of hell with us.
So it's just
and an even more surprising
summarizing what the episode's about. Nah, that was too much. That's too much. That's Courage the Cowardly Dog level of insane.
Great expansion for the main 2 characters it was meant to expand, and I guess Kane a little bit on the side. Yeah, absolutely. It was fun lore by all means. And it's clear that these characters are well written, they've got a lot of depth, and they've got a lot of secrets to hide. However, I think my biggest criticism so far of Digital Circus in this episode, and maybe season 1 as a whole, as we're starting to see it come into shape, is, to me at least, I think it's getting less and less subtle per episode in a way that I'm not 100% on board with. Maybe it's a British thing. You see, alongside the fact that 3 is being premiered alongside Netflix and will be the future from now on, we also came to learn that there is going to be a definitive ending, and that would be after 9 episodes. Now, while the 9 episodes note may be more speculation due to a small detail regarding the Netflix collaboration, the more specific and direct quote we have is the fact that they don't think there's going to be a season 2 of Digital Circus. Once we reach the end of season 1, we reach the end of Digital Circus as a whole, and the guesstimation that there might be 9 episodes does seem to be in the clear, as I feel like we're almost getting the plot beats slightly too fast. I'm not exactly asking you to go full-on content farm, which have already made hours upon hundreds of hours of somehow Digital Circus content, and that's a whole rabbit hole for another day. I think I was really hooked in by episode 1, the pilot of Digital Circus, because it was a little bit more subtle at hinting all of these story beats. And maybe it was because the internet super hyper overanalyzed every theory that could attach to episode 1 to the point that now it doesn't really feel like there's much of a secret. It seems like more we know the story, we're just seeing it come out surprisingly fast. But I thought some of the lore drops were a little bit blunt, whereas I would have liked a little bit more subtlety along the way. The fact that the monster mid-action just suddenly goes, "How's your wife, Kinga?" That's kind of cool. I kind of would have liked that. But the way Kinga immediately afterwards just starts rambling immediately with,
"Right after my wife had abstracted."
Blah, 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 blah. Like, I guess that's played for a joke. I feel like that's more of like, that's a joke to watch when you're watching reaction YouTubers react to it. You know what I mean? I thought it was a little bit too blunt in your face. And obviously, I guess the theory is very clear.
I don't know what the freaking mean. You lost me now, so good night. Right. Review. Well, that might just be me, I know I really should be searching theories, but after coming off of, film theory and looking at the side recommended videos for this series, basically I didn't thought I need to type it in. Anyways, and I don't want to. Indigo Park is what Mask of Horror should be. I'm a business board review, a business board. Hold up. Who the frick made this design, man? Oh god, okay. I love to talk about Jax. But alright, let's see.
In the 3rd episode, we learned a lot of new and interesting They won't infect others with glitches, regain their minds, and remember familiar characters.
Hi, Soggy Sandwich. Hello.
This means that abstraction does not equal death.
Thanks for dropping by.
Characters are not doomed. I'm sure that in episode 4, Some of the main characters will be forced to face the abstracted characters.
Right.
Some of the main characters will abstract.
This is what I'm about. Theory
Writing
and
down why any of the characters have to abstract in episode 4. Let's try to figure out which of the characters are in a bad way and who has the best chance of getting abstracted. It may seem like the adventure at Mildenhall Manor went very calm and peaceful for Jax, Ragatha, and Gangle. Perhaps Ragatha has the least chance to abstract out of all the other characters. Ragatha didn't face any adversity in the 3rd episode. Ragatha didn't have to face anything scary or dangerous. She calmly drank tea and chatted with Martha Mildenhall. We didn't learn anything new about her backstory or character. During the events of episode 2 and 3, Ragatha and Pomni cleared up an unpleasant situation between them from the pilot in which Pomni left Ragatha with Kaufmo. In episode 3, Pomni thanked Ragatha for her concern.
Yeah.
As you may remember from Gooseworks' Twitter post, the 5th episode will be dedicated to Ragatha. I think the relationship between Pomni and Ragatha will become much closer in the coming episodes. Things are very different with Jax and Gangle. In every new episode, we notice something strange happening to Jax. In the pilot, one interesting detail could be clearly noticed. Jax isn't afraid of anything that Kane adds to his adventures, but Jax is truly stressed by a few things: glitches and abstraction. He stubbornly avoids even mentioning Kaufmo's abstraction in conversation. Jax bravely looks up to Queen Gloink and mocks her, but worries when he sees the glitches.
Oh yeah, good point.
Episode,
yeah.
Jax behaved particularly rude to the rest of the main characters. Gangle was particularly hurt at that point. Jax seems very disappointed that he doesn't get the final battle he wanted so badly at the end of the adventure. His mood improves at first when he lets the fudge monster into the Candy Kingdom, but then he goes to his room very sad when Kaufmo's wake begins. After all this, in the 3rd episode, Jax becomes cheerful again and starts behaving well. He helps Pomni. The 3rd episode, Jax becomes cheerful again and starts behaving well. He helps Pomni with her breath-holding training. Jax tells Pomni that they can't die from lack of oxygen and she needs to keep that in her head at all times. Jax allows herself to banter with Zubul and throw away Gangle's mask of joy. But Jax allows herself to banter with Zubul and throw away Gangle's mask of joy. But I think we may see a change in Jax in episode 3. He sucked Ghostly in with his vacuum cleaner. Martha Mildenhall tied Jax up because he was hostile to Ghostly. But Jax acted
was the girls that did that.
Kane said that the goal of the adventure was to catch all the ghosts. At the end of the 3rd episode, Jax is angry that he was tied up. In addition, he is stressed out by Kane's phrase, "Welcome back, my meowing milkmaids," when all the other characters have no reaction to this and move on. Jax turns around and with a serious face tells Kane to never call them that again. Jax then walks up to Pomni and asks her about her shared adventure with Kinger. He expected Pomni to complain to him so he could make a joke about it. But Pomni said it was good with Kinger. This was a surprise to Jax. It was clear from the look on his face that Jax was disappointed. This situation can't be joked about well. Jax turns around and walks away. It seems to me that Jax is on the path of correction. Gooseworks wrote in her Tumblr that Jax has a lot of deep mental issues that he hasn't worked through with himself.
Oh.
That Jax has a lot of deep mental issues that he hasn't worked through with himself yet. Jax always tries to live for his own enjoyment and makes jokes all the time. From all these facts, we can understand that Jax is hiding his fear of the real dangers of the digital circus. Jax is alone against his problems and tries not to even mention them. To forget about the dangers, Jax constantly makes jokes about the people around him. That said, deep down Jax is not evil. He does not want to cause others suffering. He is capable of caring for and understanding those around him. I think Jax will have to face abstraction in episode 4. It will likely happen in the arena that Kane was shown unfinished in one of the trailers for the new episodes. He won't be able to run away from the abstracted character on the adventure like he did before. He'll need to face his fear face to face. Perhaps Jax will start abstracting himself. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it seems that abstraction is not irreversible. When Jax is abstracted, he may be saved by Orbsman. In one of Glitch's promotional videos for the Amazing Digital Circus, we saw a shampoo with Orbsman's face on it. I believe Orbsman owns different detergents. One of these detergents will be able to wash Jax and save him from abstraction.
What?
When Jax meets his fear face to face,
that's far-fetched.
he will show his real thoughts and feelings to all the other characters. When a Tumblr user asked Gooseworks to describe each of the following... When
Huh.
Jax meets his fear face to face, he will show his real thoughts and feelings to all the other characters.
Right.
When a Tumblr user asked Gooseworks to describe each of the following episodes with one word, Gooseworks described episode
What the frick? Boy. Damn. Oh. Haha. Guns. Huh? Oh. What?
4 with the word O.
Episode 4. That's episode 3.
Gooseworks described episode 4 with the
Oh. Following episodes. Right.
word O. I think this word symbolizes the character's reaction to Jax's confession that he is actually very afraid.
Right.
My theory is that episode 4 will begin the long, complicated, and dangerous arc of Jax's correction. I'm sure that facing abstracted characters in that arena will be Gangle past Jax. According to Gooseworks' Twitter post, episode 4 will focus on revealing Gangle's character. I found some information about what exactly will be the uniqueness of the 4th episode. One Tumblr user asked if Gangle will be able to have a mask of joy for longer than the first couple minutes. Gooseworks replied that
Whole
an entire
episode.
episode will be devoted to that question. In episode 4, Gangle will be with the Joy Mask for longer than usual. I think the Joy Mask allows Gangle to be happy as well as angry. When Gangle and Jax are in the arena together and fighting
Why would the
against
Joy one allow it to
abstracted
be angry?
characters, Jax will be very afraid of the abstracted characters and will get angry because of it. Jax will try to redirect his anger to Gangle out of habit. Gangle will tell Jax with a mask of joy that he has no right to treat her like that. Because of this, a fight will break out between Jax and Gangle, which one fan from Tumblr Gooseworks speculated about. At the moment of the fight, the abstracted characters will regain their consciousness for a while and will only observe without attacking. Jax will attempt to remove Gangle's mask of joy,
Right.
but he will fail to do so. Gangle will hold her breath, and her mask will start spinning so fast that Jax won't be able to touch it.
That's cool.
Eventually, Gangle will get angry at Jax and use her tape to throw Jax away from the abstracted characters. When Jax touches the monster, he too will begin to abstract. Gangle
Who this
will
man
stop
talking?
attacking and panic. Perhaps the phrase that Gooseworks used to describe the 4th episode, "Oh," refers to the moment when Gangle realizes she's overreacted in the fight and has done too much damage to Jax. At this point, Orbsman comes to the rescue and heals Jax with one of his cleansers. What do you think about that? What happens when Jax starts a fight with Gangle? Will Jax be saved from abstraction? Has Jax really started to mend? Write your thoughts and theories in the comments, and I'll be sure to read them. Remember, the best comments will make it into the next videos. Also, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck, everyone, and bye-bye.
Digital Bible. Wait. Jax is really the face of
Good
it,
luck
huh?
into the next videos. Also,
Yes.
don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel.
I don't
Good luck,
blame you.
everyone, and bye-bye.
Well, you actually came up with something I was after, you know, theory. So, the soap guy can apparently, the bubble guy apparently have soap. Whatever. Cool. Well, what happens with Kane? What happened with Kane in episode 3 now? That might be a theory, but no, I ain't bothering with that. Anyhow, man. What do you mean first look at episode 4? Come on. Gooser confirmed episode 6 is Jack's episode. He will survive until then. He's not abstracting anytime soon. Exactly. I hate how people Photoshop Jax as an abstracted version. Like, bro, he's not getting abstracted anytime soon. To all people Photoshopping Jax stuff, bro. Great theory, but episode 6 is Jack's episode, so maybe he'll abstract there. And the stadium contains that food court in episode 4, and your detergent idea might actually work to free out the abstracted characters, and maybe Kinger's name before he came to the circus was Abel, right? Thus creating the company Cain and Abel. More like Sign and Abel, whatever. Kaufmo might come back in one of the later eps if abstraction brings them back to the real world. Oh, that would be sick, man. If what the frick? Yeah, whatever. Probably reacts to Inside Out 2 and the Amazing Digital Circus. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, my brain has glitched out. That's cool if the abstracted ones actually end up back in the real world. I like that one. If Jax does abstract and Orzwan actually managed to use one of his cleansers to save Jax, wouldn't that just mean that Kane could actually use that NPC to save all the other abstracted characters? I feel like that wouldn't be the case. I don't think Jax would abstract anytime soon. Plus, if Jax were to get abstracted, most of us, the viewers, would stop watching. Really? You serious? I mean, the me when I watch episode 1 would be like that, but maybe not now, considering I like the other characters and the story as a whole more. Would stop watching, as Jax is the most loved character. I thought he was the most hated, as Jax is the most loved character. I personally love Jax as a character. I love the chaos and violence he brings, as it makes things so much more entertaining, and it does. Also, Ep6 is Jack's episode, so he won't abstract. Huh. This person said he's the most loved, whereas everyone on their videos is like, oh, he's the most, especially Gooseworks. It's like he's the most hated / the worst character. See, here's the proof. If Jax gets extracted in, I will lose my interest in the show. Okay, that person is right then. I'm a Maya editor, and I can make a Ep4 animation to show what I think will happen in Ep4. I'm working on it though. Okay. Never thought Gangu is going to fight Jax in Mortal Kombat. Perhaps we'll get to see Jax lose his arms from getting abstracted and getting his cybernetic arms from the side. I definitely don't ever want to see him get abstracted. So now we're seeing a thumbnail with her face getting abstracted. Huh. No one is deep down evil. Everyone have issues, but that doesn't excuse you. I'm surprised I didn't click this. It's going like I did, but I never watched it. Okay. Abstracting would be great way for him to go out. Oh. The comics. No. Some other time. Cool. We are talking about Jax. I'm going to assume that's because we need more information to Jax. Whatever. I think Jax going to cause more trouble in episode 4 and Gangu. It actually might be Gangu to abstract, as the episode is focused on her. Wow, I didn't actually thought of that. And I think Goose said one of them will. Oh shoot, Jax also will appear in Ep 6, so it won't. It probably Gangu that will abstract. Cack. Jax will not be abstracted because of his important role in Ep 6. Gangu is most likely to abstract, if not Zubu, who would abstract probably because of Jax / Kane. That's so sad. Don't want none of them to abstract, man. I want to notice that new character replace old character. You mean Pomni replaced Kaufmo? You just realizing that? I think he will abstract in Ep 6. I hope Kinga does not abstract. What kind of freaking Pomni is that?
Yeah, Jax will be obstructed. You mean no? I sure hope none of them do. Yeah, I sure hope none of them do. I would like to change Jax. If Jax obstruct, I will hate TADC and will like MD instead. Murder drones. Wow. Episode 4 is Zubu especially, so I think Jax is not obstructing him. Episode 4 is about Gangu, not Zubu. If the King of King, I will say F. What the F the Fozy mean? 1K likes. What the frick is it? Oh, you're asking for 1K likes, or you're saying the video has 1K likes? Well, what the frick is that? Who killed Jax? I would hurt a fool whoever does that to my rabbit. Oh my gosh, it's Among Us outside. Okay, back up. Good point. It did get, huh? I didn't notice that. So shouldn't he not be able to breathe there? Oh, poop.
New episode of the Amazing Digital Circus answered many interesting questions, but also left us with a huge amount of mystery. The third episode focuses on Kinger and Zubul. So that said, Jax took a much smaller part in the new episode than usual. Nevertheless, a large amount of unsolved mysteries are related to him. In this video, I want to talk about what happened to Jax in the third episode. By the way, somewhere in the video I have hidden a photo of a ghost, and anyone who finds it will get another interesting theory about Jax in the comments. I want to start parsing Jax's mysteries right from the beginning of the episode. He appears on screen with all the main characters at once. I suggest going back a little bit, to the final episode of the second episode to be exact. As you remember, Jax was very upset at the end of episode 2. He didn't get the epic final battle at the end of the adventure that he wanted so badly. He ended up getting even by letting the fudge monster into the Candy Kingdom. But a little later, when the main characters went to mourn Kaufmo, you could definitely see by the look on Jax's face that he wasn't having fun at all. It's very disturbing to see Jax in such a state, because usually he's always cheerful, carefree, and indifferent to what's going on around him. That's his charisma. Many fans have theorized that Jax is depressed or close to being abstracted. But now, I don't think that's at all what we thought. I expected Jax to still be sad at the beginning of episode 3, but it turned out to be different. The next morning, Jax was calm and cheerful again. He, along with all the other characters, watched Pomni exercise his breath-holding skills. Jax was surprisingly active in encouraging Pomni. He reminded her that in the digital circus, she can't die from lack of oxygen, so she shouldn't be afraid. It turns out that in the digital circus, characters can hold their breath for as long as they want. Jax quite kindly tells Pomni that she needs to get tough. In the same scene, we learn that each character has a special effect, each color. It can take on all the colors of the rainbow in turn. Kinger starts flashing a bright light when she holds her breath. Has her hair go up and stand upside down. Jangle has her mask start spinning in circles. When Zubul holds her breath, her limbs begin to straighten. The most interesting detail in this scene is Jax's secret. Zubul emphasizes that none of the main characters know what happens to Jax when he holds his breath. Zubul thinks that Jax's effect is very embarrassing, so he's too cowardly to show it to everyone else. I can say for sure that Jax really wants this secret to remain a secret. I'm sure that this secret of Jax's has something to do with his backstory.
I love that scene.
And his first adventure that he went on when he first managed to get into the digital circus. The fact that no one knows this secret of Jax's means that he was holding his breath for a long time in the digital circus before Kinger or any of the other circus members suggested he do so.
Wait, what?
That backstory and his first adventure that he went on when he first managed to get into the has something to do with his backstory. And his first adventure that he went on when he first managed to get into the digital circus. The fact that no one knows this secret of Jax's means that he was holding his breath for a long time in the digital circus before Peter or any of the other circus members suggested he do so. Jax's first adventure could have taken place in space or deep underwater. While going through such an adventure, Jax reflexively held his breath and didn't breathe for quite some time. In that moment, he learned for himself that you can't die from lack of oxygen in the digital circus.
I get what he's
and
saying.
He also learned his funny or embarrassing effect of holding his breath, which
Right.
he decided not to show anyone. However, I have another theory about what might have happened to Jax on his first adventure. I'll come back to it a little later in the video. Next up, Jax went on a new adventure with the rest of the characters at Mildenhall Manor. Jax armed himself with a vacuum cleaner against the ghosts. At the beginning of the journey, Pomni told Ragatha that she doesn't tolerate different scimitars well. Jax immediately decided to test this out and scared Pomni. At this point, I was calm for Jax, as these actions fit perfectly into his behavioral style. Further down the road, they met Ghostly, who showed the main characters two doors, a regular door and a very scary door. As soon as Ghostly finished his speech, Jax immediately used a vacuum cleaner on him and sucked him inside. Jax then decided to check the doors and threw Gangle's mask of joy at the door that Ghostly called an ordinary door. That door immediately turned into a scary mouth and swallowed the joy mask.
The ghost was like,
Jax did a bad thing when he took Gangle's joy mask and threw it at the door. But it should be noted that checking the door turned out to be a very important and correct decision.
yeah.
Kane couldn't help but leave a catch in the adventure. Ghostly misled the main characters. The little ghost didn't act hostile towards the main characters, but Jax was right when he decided not to trust his word. Thanks to Jax,
Yeah.
all the characters could take the safe path.
The
Pomni
rest.
and Kinger fell into the trap because of Kinger's mistake. After this scene, Jax,
Good
Ragatha, and
point.
Gangle don't appear in the narrative for a long time because nothing dangerous happened to them. It's too bad we don't know how Jax, Gangle, and Ragatha's encounter with Martha Mildenhall happened.
Yeah.
But what we saw at the end really surprised me. While Gangle and Ragatha were quietly enjoying tea with Martha Mildenhall, Jax found himself completely bound. His mouth was taped shut and he was placed in a cart. The vacuum cleaner had disappeared somewhere.
Yeah.
I will now try to explain to you what happened behind the scenes. You can tell from Jax's words that he was going to catch all the ghosts at Mildenhall Manor.
All right.
I don't think that Jax's actions are wrong and characterize him negatively. Before the adventure began, Kane himself told the characters that their assignment was to catch as many ghosts as possible. Even if Ghostly did not know the truth, he tried to deceive the main characters. But Jax revealed the deception.
Yeah.
Most likely, when Gangle, Ragatha, and Jax walked on, they met Martha Mildenhall almost immediately. It is understandable why Jax decided not to trust Martha Mildenhall. However, Jax definitely did not succeed in defeating Martha Mildenhall. She's much larger in size than Ghostly. That's probably why the vacuum cleaner was powerless against her. Looks like Martha Mildenhall is strong enough to defeat Jax on her own. There's another possibility. We haven't seen any other ghosts past Ghostly, Martha Mildenhall, and
True.
Baron Theodore Mildenhall. But it is possible that Jax, Ragatha, and Gangle were met by a large number of ghosts behind the second door. As Jax began to suck them in with a vacuum cleaner, the ghosts gathered together and bound Jax. Since Ragatha and Gangle did not help Jax, he got overwhelmed and was defeated. When the characters returned to the circus tent, Jax jokingly asked Pomni what it was like for her to be stuck with a madman. Pomni replied that it wasn't so bad. Jax quickly realized there was no joke to be made of that and walked away. In that, the finals of the second and third are similar. Didn't it seem to you that before meeting that, the finals of the second
What's that red on?
and third are
Who's
similar?
that white on?
Didn't it seem to you that before meeting Martha Mildenhall, it was as if Jax knew all the ghosts' tricks in advance? That thought led me to a theory.
You say what?
Didn't it seem to you that before meeting that, the finals of the second and third was no joke to be made of that and walked away? In that, the finals of the second and third are similar. Didn't it seem to you that before meeting Martha Mildenhall, it was as if Jax knew all the ghosts' tricks in advance?
To be honest,
The second and third
I don't know those hands. I'd say this is Zubu's. No, this is Gango's hand. But who are these two?
similar. Didn't it seem to you that before meeting Martha Mildenhall, it was as if Jax knew all the ghosts' tricks in advance? That thought led me to a theory. I think that in Jax's first adventure, his enemies were ghosts. This would explain
Right.
why he knew not to trust Ghostly. Jax had fallen into ghostly traps before, so he knew that all doors should be checked beforehand. Because of this experience, he didn't even consider trusting Ghostly and sucked him in with a vacuum cleaner. To summarize now, I don't think Jax is depressed. Jax did mostly the right and reasonable thing in episode 3. It seems to me that Jax is on the path of correction. Episode 6 will focus on Jax. In episode 6, Jax will have to finally reform and become friends with all the other characters. What do you think about that? What happens to Jax when he holds his breath?
I mean, he's gone already.
What was
Yeah,
Jax's
that's
first
fast.
adventure? Did Jax start to become kinder?
Oh, he's got a
Write your
cat.
thoughts and theories in the comments, and I'll be sure to read them. The best comments will make it into the new videos. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck, everyone, and bye-bye.
Not gonna lie. I also like that one. I just realized something. Zubu looks like that because she's insecure of how she looks. Yeah. People are going on like, oh, it's gender. And I'm like, man, it doesn't have to be. Kaufmo is a clown because he loved making jokes. Pomni is a jester because people probably made fun of her in the past. Ouch. Ragata is a ragdoll because people always pushed her around and hurt her, like someone would do putting pins into a ragdoll. Kinger is a chess piece king because he always felt in charge. Gango has different masks. When the frick did he say he always felt in charge? Gango has different masks because she doesn't have emotional control. Damn. Ouch. And Jax is a bunny slash hare because he's a very cocky and confident. He is very cocky and confident. Just like the hare from the story, the tortoise and the hare. And he's also Springtrap slash William Afton. To be honest, I think it's something silly rather than deep. I think when Jax holds his breath, his head inflates and floats like a balloon. Psst. I think Jax dies if he doesn't... What? I think Jax dies. What are they saying? That he's always holding his breath? That's why when they actually choked him slash tie him up in this episode, well, Zubu choked him in the first episode, but they tied him up in episode 3. That's why nothing's happening because he's already tied his breath. I mean, he's already holding his breath. Is that what you're saying, Bear Gamer? I think Jax dies if he doesn't hold his breath because he can feel hunger unlike everyone else except for the NPCs. So it would make sense if he dies and people think Jax is an NPC. Huh. I think when Jax holds his breath, what happens is that he turns invisible. In Ep 1, when they found that Kaufmo had abstracted, Jax seems to go invisible and disappear. You're lying. What do you mean? Oh, when he ran off. Right. In Ep 2, when they are confronting the candy monster thing, Jax had taken the key from Ragata without her noticing. You're right. This could be due to him turning invisible. Lastly, he doesn't tell us what his power is when he holds his brain. When he holds his breath, once the others find out what he's up to, he will get caught. Damn. Okay, like that. Yeah, good theory, especially the Ragata one in Ep 2. That's good. I like that. I really like that. For me, when Jax holds his breath, he transforms into a kind of milk fur or something related to milk. And that's why when Kane says at the end of the adventure, my little milk furs, while he looks at Jax, he gets angry and tells him to not call them like that again. Ghosty told the truth. The door he identifies as the scary door was the one Jax threw the mascot. And it was indeed the scary door. I'm sure it wasn't because when I was watching it, I was thinking, dude, the ghost slide. I think Jax first sticks up making him look fluffy, so that's why he's trying to keep it a secret. I forget the first sticks. There's also a psychological test where you have 2 doors. Guarding the doors are 2 guards. One tells the truth and the other tells lies. Since you don't know which one is telling the truth and which one is lying, both the guards are not to be trusted, right? The thing with the 2 doors here is you have seemingly benign ghosts giving them instructions. However, since he is a ghost, and first arrives as a malicious presence. Good point. You can't be certain if he is a friend or someone who wants to lead you down the wrong path. Good point. Oh, for frick's sake, I doing that. Honestly, Jax is probably not an NPC because Kane doesn't let NPC into the digital world because Kane said he doesn't want confusion. But Jax, I'm not sure if he is depressed, but maybe getting more to like of it is of it because the jokes and pranks he makes on the others is to keep himself sane and just to imagine him because in the end of episode 3 he went to his room after Pomni said whatever. There is also a psychological test. Oh crap, just read that. Imagine if his eyes, all the players could take the safe path. Literally 2 seconds later, Kinga made a mistake and led him and Pomni through the scary door. In episode 6, we will probably find out what happens when Jax holds his breath. What? I honestly never noticed any of this, mostly because I was yelling at Kinga, telling him to adopt Pomni. Why would he adopt her in a game where that's not even a thing? Oh well, let's just give him a thumbs up. When Zubo choked Jax, he couldn't breathe and he literally opened his mouth. I would want to believe he's becoming kinder, but the creator herself admitted that Jax is... It's just going to get worse and worse on the episodes. If he holds his breath, maybe his ears will start spinning very fast and probably disappear. The door were correctly indicated by the ghost. I wasn't. Why do people think Jax is an NPC? I know, right? He's... Locking up in 5. Jack goes on fire when he holds his breath. That'd be cool, but I like the invisible one better. 4, 3. Did I say 5 or 10? Yeah, whatever. 2. Okay, Jax is kind of nice. How secretive that have fate fall off its stuff yellow. What the f... Sorry about my talking. Thanks for apologizing because I don't understand the word you just said. How secretive that have fate fall off its stuffy yellow. Stuff yellow? Yeah. 3... 2... Oh, raw. The ghost.
I have hidden a photo of a ghost.
Oh.
And anyone who finds it will...
You know, I didn't find it. I didn't remember it. Not gonna lie, but I didn't notice it either. That's actually cool. Let me just... Fine, end the stream with this.
On Jax's face that he wasn't having fun at all. I think that's at all what we thought. I expected Jax to still be sad at the beginning again. He, along with all the other characters, what digital circus? She can't die from lack of oxygen. Get tougher. Her digital body...
I'm just realizing when you scroll across, it has a dark filter type thing. I didn't realize.
Spinning in circles. When Zubul holds her breath, her limbs begin to straighten. The most interesting detail in this scene is Jax's secret. Zub and his first adventure that he went on when he first managed to get into the digital circus. The fact that no one knows this secret of Jax's adventure could have taken place in space or deep underwater in the digital circus. And he also learned his funny or embarrassing effect of... Jax went on a new adventure with the rest of the characters at Mildenhall Manor. Jax armed himself with scimitars well. Jax immediately decided to take a regular door and a very scary door. As soon as Ghostly called an ordinary door. That door immediately turned into a scary mouth and swallowed the joy mask.
I don't see it, man.
Kane couldn't help but leave a catch in the adventure. Ghostly misled the main characters. The little ghost didn't act hostile towards the main characters, but Jax was right when he decided not to trust his word.
This is it.
Thanks to Jax, all the characters could take the safe path. Pomni and Kinger fell into the trap because of Kinger's mistake. After this scene, Jax, Ragatha, and Gangle and Ragatha's encounter with Martha Mildenhall happened. The vacuum cleaner had disappeared somewhere. I will now try to explain to you what happened behind the scenes. You can tell from Jax's words that he was going to catch all the ghosts at Mildenhall. Kane himself told the characters that their assignment was to catch as many ghosts as possible. Even if Ghostly did not know the truth, he trusted and Jax walked on. They met Martha Mildenhall almost immediately. It is understandable than Ghostly. That's probably why the vacuum cleaner was powerless against her. Looks like Martha door.
Don't see it.
As Jax began to suck them in with a vacuum cleaner, the ghosts gathered together and bound Jax. Jax jokingly asked Pomni what it was like for her
Probably
to
not
be
even
stuck with
there.
a madman. Pomni replied that it was the finals of the second and third are similar.
These hands, nobody else do hands other than Gangle.
It was as if Jax knew all the ghosts' tricks in advance. That thought had fallen into ghostly traps before, so he knew that all doors should be checked beforehand. To summarize now, I don't think Jax is depressed. Jax did mostly become friends with all the other characters. What do you think? Did Jax start to become kinder? Write your thoughts and theories in the comments, and I'll be sure to read them. The best comments will make it into
Don't see the
Also,
ghost.
don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck, everyone, and bye-bye.
Well, thanks for viewing, everyone. As he said, good luck to everyone and bye-bye. So good luck to everyone and bye-bye. Thanks for watching my stream.